Should I guard my swears a bit? I do tend to be a little emotional sometimes with the swears. Okay. I do tend to be a little emotional sometimes with
So
the
if
swears.
we're going to follow the
Okay.
the conventional feudal structure, then Sir Alain would be our leader.
Huzzah! Let's just try something.
This may be an unimportant or tangential question, but whatever the common tongue is, well, I'll just call it English for want of a better term. Do any of our characters have other languages? Are we literate? Okay, all right. Yep.
I fixed my camera. Yeah. You can screen. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Mic back up. There we go. Right. Good evening, everyone. We're playing Dragon Warriors again. I don't know why I tend to run Dragon Warriors when I do these odd little streams, but you know, if it's getting me back into it, gives people something to watch and something to do while they're in seclusion because of the plague, which is, you know, fitting for a medieval European style game. So we're playing Dragon Warriors. It's an old school RPG that was originally published in the early to mid 80s here in the UK by Corgi Books as a series of paperbacks. There's a new edition by, I think it's Serpent King, so you can get hold of that if you want to play, or you can track down the paperbacks elsewhere. It's a very British medieval sort of setting. When I was running it when I was much younger, it was sort of Robin of Sherwood and things like that were inspiring us to play. It was. Less so once it was Jason Connery, wasn't it? After the first guy.
Yeah, that was.
It wasn't quite so good then. But we're going to kind of jump straight into it. It's a pretty simple system. I'll explain things if we need to as we go along. For sake of argument, we're assuming that this adventure is taking place after the events of The King Under the Forest, which was the other adventure I ran many moons ago on a live stream. The upshot of which is a bunch of adventurers coming back from the Crusades stop off, follow some leads that they're given to investigate an underworld, a dungeon, whereupon they find this world's equivalent of King Arthur in sort of suspended animation at the end of the dungeon, surrounded by swords in a circle. They take up the swords and they essentially become new Knights of the Round Table. So we're assuming these characters are veterans of that and veterans of the Crusades. So that's how they know each other. They fought together in foreign lands, delved into the underworld, and became new knights, new bastions of the world. So wandering do-gooders, basically, and the swords make a useful sort of set of magical or semi-magical shenanigans to to get them to find that they stumble upon adventure. So it's a useful plot flange. Okay, so our players tonight are playing Sir Alain of Braylac, a formidable, if somewhat ugly knight. Maybe he caught the wrong end of some boiling oil or something. Who knows? Becca Aikukan, a barbarian from the frozen Northlands, who ran away from her tribe and joined up as a mercenary with the Crusades and then has stuck around with this lot. And the sorceress Karadan Azta, who was a sort of magician and helper on the Crusades, healing people, thanks to her family background as an apothecary. So we got a reasonably mixed bunch. I'll probably run more sessions of the other sort of stock adventures that there are while this virus ravages the world. So if you want to come along and play at some point, keep an eye on my social media. And I'll try and do it regularly, so keep an eye out. Right, set the scene. Okay. You've been travelling for several days now. None of you have mounts, but you do have a mule to carry things. But it's been raining incessantly that whole time. So the road, the track, has become increasingly muddy, to the point where carrying on along the main road just hasn't really been possible anymore. It's like every step the mud is sucking at your boots. So you were forced to head off the beaten path onto one of the smaller side roads. It's more overgrown with trees, which is a bit more dangerous if there are bandits or monsters or wolves or whatever harassing people here. But there's the occasional felled tree that shows foresters have been at work here. And the trees do give more shelter from the rain. The forest, apart from the few felled trees, seems relatively undisturbed. A lot of trees have just fallen and rotted away. It's not properly coppiced or anything. But there are some fairly fresh wheel ruts in the road, stretching away. You're hoping you can make it to the next town, which, according to your best knowledge, is a place called Maidens Vale, and with a bit of luck and taking this less beaten track, you should manage to get there no more than an hour or two into darkness. Maybe you can find an inn there to rest your weary feet and dry yourselves out. So, over to you.
Probably say something.
Yes. Well, you're the knight. You're the boss, according to the medieval hierarchy. So,
I assume I'm just walking ahead in front of everyone else, taking the lead, but being silent for the time being.
Are you leading the mule, or is someone else going to handle the animal?
I assume someone else is going to be.
I'll have the mule. I probably have some valuables on it. As an apothecary, I need to safeguard.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trust many to bear that responsibility with the same gravitas I would. So I'm the mule handler.
So you're keeping your valuables, i.e., your magic user and your mule and everything it's carrying, in the middle of the party, which is good standard practice. Okay, and then Becca's holding up the rear. Okay.
Yes, I just realised that Becca is stunning and brave.
Yes.
Being a barbarian, but she is very attractive and stocked and stoked.
Yeah.
So
she's a big muscly lass.
It's very important. You have to know that.
Whereas a certain Aussie rugby player with the wrong league.
Whereas Alain is a bit of a minger. And Karadan is, okay looking. Of course, you don't see much of Becca most of the time because she's all huddled in furs and armour and helmet and everything. So
And not the sharpest tool in the box either.
No. The barbarians rarely are. Okay. Oh, I had better hush anything that's going to make noises. Otherwise, that's going to be super annoying. Give me a sec.
Cold, wet.
Yeah, it's the wet that gets you down more than anything. It just soaks into absolutely everything, and it leaves you feeling cold even underneath all your layers. And it's been raining pretty much solid for 2 days. Okay. So, Alain, you're in the lead. You round one of the corners, assuming you're scouting a little bit ahead, and just sort of sat there, overturned in the middle of the path, is a carriage, and a fairly well-appointed one at that. There's no sign of the horses, and there's a couple of bodies of men-at-arms, but they've been stripped of everything except their underclothes. And there are some exasperated huffing and puffing noises coming from inside the carriage.
I put my hand up and say, "Hold! We have trouble."
I will simply come to a halt and make sure the donkey is set and slowly look for a spot to tie it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
you find a moss-covered slimy branch on a tree and tie the reins.
I'm going to kind
as
of
best you can.
unfocus my senses, so I'm relying on my peripheral vision and maybe not my immediate conscious hearing to detect any patterns that might seem out of place or unusual, if the rain would permit.
Yeah, the rain makes it difficult to pick up much of anything else. You don't think there's anything out there.
Watch my advance. I shall investigate. And I draw my swords and cautiously walk over.
Okay. Right. You pick your way slowly up to the carriage. You still hear these huffing and puffing and angry noises from within, and some rather guttural swearing, and the door on the top rattles as if someone inside is trying to push their way out.
They could be in trouble. I'll try to open the door.
Okay, it's fairly jammed. What's your strength?
My strength is 12.
All right, you give it a wrench, but it doesn't budge. You do hear a voice from inside. Hello?
Oh, me help. I'll walk over to the coach.
Okay, what's your strength?
15. Me help.
Okay, with one mighty thewed heft, you tear the door of the carriage off its hinges and fling it off the road into the trees.
Me helped.
I loosened it up for you.
Yes. Within is an old woman in a sort of grey smock dress with a sort of gilt rope belt tied around it and one of those big pointy medieval hats with the kind of veils hanging off it. She squints up at you. Well, you gonna help me out? And she raises her hand upwards.
I suppose I sheathe my sword and hold my hand out to let her out of the carriage.
Okay. With somewhat Herculean effort, you manage to lift her up high enough that she can sit and perch on the edge of the overturned carriage, and then sort of slide down in an ungainly way into the puddles on the road with a splash. Ah, that's better.
However, did you get into such a predicament?
I was travelling with my guards to Maidens Vale when we were set upon by miscreants.
Is
How
she
long
clearly
ago?
a high status woman comparative to us?
Fairly high status. She's got a a ring with the seal of an important family. The gilt belt seems to indicate some station, but otherwise she dresses fairly modestly.
And pardon me, I'm not sure what the default campaign setting is like in the published materials, but given that difference in status and whatnot, would us being lower status compared to her rendering aid in this situation, would there be an unspoken or tacit understanding of reward for escort or whatnot, or would that have to be broached?
For it, if you're sort of a reasonable status member of society, then helping out someone from a noble house is just it's a duty, or helping out a priest would be a duty. But there is an unspoken expectation of some kind of payoff for doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget, we are just mercenary scum.
Well, you do have the swords of the round table, so you are compelled to act somewhat honourably.
Pray tell, madame, how long ago was this?
Oh, not more than 2 hours, I think. They made off down the road, heading towards the town. So I hope everyone there is safe. Of course, with that many people, I doubt they'd attack them. And with the Lord there in residence, again, I doubt they'd cause much trouble. But either way, I need to get there. Is that where you were heading?
Indeed it was.
She sort of sizes you all up, squinting and leaning close. Clearly her eyesight isn't up to much. I'm Mother Clay.
Sir Elaine of Braylac.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance. She fumbles an arthritic curtsy.
I was just going to mention a curtsy. I'll nod and I'll allow Alan to introduce us, and when my name is introduced, I'll curtsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just wave towards you and say, and this is Sheridan Arts. But I say it in a way that's more familiar.
That's fine.
And the large woman here is Rebecca. Ikukan.
She's a big one.
She helped.
Yes, she helped indeed. I'm a nurse. And that's why I was on my way to Maidens Vale. So Olvar's wife is due to give birth, or may have even given birth by now, and I was sent by my lord to render aid. I'm something of a nurse, of a midwife.
I'm gonna try and read her. I'm just suspicious by nature, given that it's a one shot and so on. It's a little bit of metagaming, but I'll just kind of put a dark expression on my face, and I'll say, I hope the Barons weren't born on a night like this, and I'll just kind of read her to see if she's the type that might agree with that kind of a superstition, or
yeah, her eye twitches slightly. You get the feeling that she's a bit superstitious, like she's being called a midwife and a nurse. She's probably more of a kind of legitimized wise woman sort of type. So she says, it would be a night of ill omen.
And I'm not sure if you can see what I put in the chat there. If not, I'll just step forward with maybe a dry cloth for her and a bit of bread and some water.
Yeah. You hand her some rations. She tucks into it.
So they did abandon the coach, yes? So, with the driver and the horses.
The horses are gone, I presume. These miscreants took them. The driver's probably dead, the same as the guards. Would you be a dear? My things are still inside the carriage. I managed to hide them under the seat.
Yeah, we'll go in the carriage and I'll retrieve stuff.
Yeah. Okay, just not a problem to clamber in. Now the door's open, there's no problem getting out. There's a package in sackcloth, sort of tied up and wrapped up, and a letter folded over with a wax seal from one of the noble houses.
Well, I'll give it to her without any interest or whatever.
Thank you.
Alan, you see any tracks anywhere?
Why would you want to look for tracks?
Oh, Jesus.
The knight does have the tracking skill. If
I see no reason to mistrust this woman.
This is just out in the open.
I legitimately have no reason to track anything.
I'm just curious if you know the marks on the ground would align with her. I mean, from what walking the Walking Dead, with Norman Reedus's character, the guy can
well
piece together all kinds of stuff with tracking. So maybe
Becca has track as well. So
I think as we all know each other, our MO will probably be Sir Alain does the talking, right. You do the thinking, and I do the work.
Sure.
So I'll start tracking.
Okay, you hunker down, you have a look around. It looks like they were ambushed from the sides of the road. Javelins rather than arrows. You find one of them broken and shattered at the base of one of the trees on the opposite side. Then there was more of a close-in scuffle. The constant rain has already washed away most of the blood. The guards were killed. If the javelins hadn't done them in, it looks like they had their throats slit. And everything's been taken off them. Their purse, any armour they might have been wearing, their boots, right down to the rings in their ears, or anything like that. It's just all gone.
Hardcore infantry,
yeah. The driver looks like he made it a short way down the trail, but if you follow the tracks that short distance, you find him face down in the bracken at the side of the path.
So this is a professional job then?
Looks like it, yeah. I mean, you're all veterans of the Crusades. When you were ambushed by the Caliphate once, it followed a similar sort of modus operandi, only with rocks instead of trees. There's not a lot you can really do about it against prepared.
I'll conclude my search and I'll go back and report to Sir Alain.
Okay.
The boot prints, do they match what folks out in the woods would have? Flat bottom hide boots, or are they hobnailed military gear?
They're hobnailed sort of military style boots from the look of it, and they're quite deep imprints, so these are quite burly fellows.
Okay.
Yeah, these aren't no brigands. They're mercenaries.
Yeah,
like
or
us.
particularly well-heeled brigands, perhaps.
Or ex-soldiers turned to hard times, right? Mercenary, but obviously people with training. I mean, it's gear from the nature of the ambush, right? The thoroughness with which they dispatched any resistance.
Yeah,
and looting the bodies, wonderful.
And the javelin, the broken one, it's not of particularly good make. The head on it looks like it's been reused on several different shafts, and it's slightly pitted and worn, but it's serviceable. Yeah, sort of standard issue type stuff that might be given to a peasant levy or town guard, that sort of level of equipment.
Okay.
So being the pragmatic one, Becca will remind you that when we meet these people, we can't expect any quarter from them.
No parley, but perhaps we could feign that to lull them into a sense of security, and you guys are ready to maybe make a few new dents in skulls.
Yeah.
If you're quite done grubbing around in the mud, says the old lady, it would be quite nice to get to a warm bed and soothe these aching bones of mine.
Indeed. Sir Alan?
Answer the phone, you must.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sorry, I turned my text alerts off. I do apologise.
That's fine.
That was familiar.
Well, the brigands must be long gone by now, but we can see you to the town.
Very kind of you. Very kind. I don't suppose I could ride that mule of yours, could I?
I see no reason not.
You'll have to move.
I see every reason in the world. The answer is no. I'm sorry. We shan't be leaving behind any of our traveling gear and equipment.
You could.
Sorry, milady. You'll have to make do with some grog when you arrive.
Saradin, you hardly expect a lady to walk in the mud.
If I'm lumping it through the muck and cold, she can too. She's in good company. Let's go.
Well, we don't have time to argue. Come along.
Older ladies are tougher than anyone gives them any credit for. And I'll just whip at her.
Yes, but we're also wise enough to take the easy path when it's made available to us.
I'll lift her onto the mule.
Okay. She somehow managed to perch in amongst the various bits and pieces you've got strapped to it. And you carry on your way.
Ooh, I hope nothing broke.
Right. The rain falls down even more heavily. And this track, this back road, winds northwards up a hill. The hill, as those sort of trees thin out a bit, allows more of the rain to hit the ground, and it's just completely soaked through. There's nowhere for it to go. So at this point, the track, even here, away from the main road, is more like a river, really, than a road. It's cresting the tops of the soles of your boots. Arriving at the top of the hill, you've made pretty good time considering there's still a little bit of sort of dying sunlight as the sun sets. But cresting the top of the hill, you find yourself looking down on, presumably, the village of Maidens Vale. It's a little sort of huddle of ancient stone houses, weighed down by moss-coated thatched roofs that don't look like they've been fixed in quite a while. And just even though the ground's been cleared a bit, there's still a lot of dark woodland around, and the town is just sort of, well, the village is sort of plonked down in the middle of it, barely cleared away. You don't see much in the way of firelight, or glimmering candles, or lanterns, or even much in the way of wood smoke coming from the chimneys. The village almost looks deserted. Looking down from the top, down the path to the village, you can see that there is a small square in the centre of the village, overshadowed by a really substantial and more modern building that's there, a manor house. It's made in an even older style, but made much more substantially from imported stone that makes it stand out against the other buildings here. They're all of a kind of squat, grey, granite kind of rock, and the bricks that have been used to build them haven't been worked too much because granite's so difficult to work. But this is more of a yellow sort of sandstone building, really. God knows where they brought the stone from. The manor house stands about a story higher than the rest of the buildings, and its lower walls have been wattled and daubed, and on its corners old millstones have been piled up, which give it more of a sort of armoured, rounded appearance around the bottom level. Beside the road, on the way down, is a huge oak tree, taller than its neighbours, with thick boughs bent by age. Fixed between two of the low, huge branches is a set of wooden stocks, and the first sign of life that you've really seen, other than the old lady, is in the stocks, a bedraggled man. His head and hands locked into the wooden shackles. He looks rather scared, and circling around him is a small pack of feral dogs, mongrels, not wolves, but they don't seem any friendlier than wolves. At the moment, they're just circling around him, growling, moving close until he shouts or twitches an arm or a foot as best he can, and then they back away again. But sooner or later, they're going to snap at him.
Right.
Grim, the Dragon Breath spell, is there any way in this game system for me to do minor uses of magic, like just a lighter's worth of flame or a zip zap out, or would that eat up the whole spell?
Technically there isn't, but I'll allow you to just do something as a little bit of a show.
Yeah, yes, just to singe a little bit of fur, this or that, when within casting range, just to scare them off, if that's something we've done.
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Okay. And that's what I will do. If no one else steps forward right away, I'll take the chance just to kind of walk up a bit, maybe throw a couple of stones so I get their attention, and then I'll show them who the real boss is by using fire, which is something they should respect, and hopefully send them scurrying.
Okay, so the rest of you are sort of taking in the scene. You're the first one to move forwards, and as you sort of step down, scoop up a stone from the path and throw it towards them, they notice you and turn away from the man in the stocks and start bounding up the path, up the hill towards you, tongues lolling and froth on their muzzles.
Oh, God.
Balls out.
That may not have been such a good idea.
Right.
You
can see them. You can see them coming, but yeah, it's.
I wasn't interested with the guy in the stocks until he threw the stone. But seeing them turn and sort of like walk over to them, like I'm gonna sort of draw my sword and tell the woman to get down and stay behind us. We'll sort this out.
Okay. Right. Well, you can see him coming. It's not an ambush or anything. So, Alain, you draw your sword and sort of step between the old woman and the dogs. What's Becca doing?
I'll step to the right and use the mythical back scabbard to get out my two-handed sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great big
yeah.
claymore-sized effort, that one.
Yeah. And the doctor defensive stance.
Okay. How very unbarbarian-like.
It's muddy, yeah.
Yeah. Caradon, what's she doing? Running back behind the fighters?
Oh, no. If the Dragon's Breath spell, I'm not sure how magic works in this game. Is it one I fired once for the day and it's done?
For sorcerers, you've got 4 magic points and you only know level 1 spells, so you can basically cast 4 spells until you get a night's rest.
Okay.
It is the end of the day.
I will then.
Yeah, so you might as well blow your magical wad.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, then I'll fully unleash a Dragon's Breath attack on one of them. As soon as they come within 20 meters is my range.
Yep. Okay, so the rest of you are prepared while they charge up.
I'll walk backwards to join the group, however. I don't want to be singled out and surrounded by all of these.
Yes, that's a ranged spell, though, so you actually get to attack them this turn. Right.
My speed is 12 on it, if that's relevant.
Yep, it is. Okay, so use up the magic point.
Yes, okay.
Okay, speed 12 versus... Okay, you let out an enormous gout of flame from your mouth. It turns the rain to steam, so it instantly dries out a small part of the road in front of you, and throws up this kind of seething hot mist, which blinds you to the extent that you can't tell whether you hit any of them or not. But you're fairly sure you can hear them rushing past you either side. So the fire has at least warded them off you.
Excellent. Okay.
Right. So next turn, you guys still have initiative. So, Alain, what are you doing?
I'm sort of protecting. What's her name? Lady
Mother Clay.
Lady Mac.
But assuming if the dogs are running towards me, I'll attack them.
Yeah, there's 2 on your side and 1 on Becca's side. So yeah, they come charging up towards you. So you're going to cleave at one with your sword.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your attack?
My attack is 14.
Okay, roll d20, 11 or under.
Okay. 14.
So miss.
Miss.
Okay, So they come hurtling past you. You swing with your blade, but in the slippery mud, you fail to land the blow that you wanted to. Right, Becca. There's one dog that's come around her side.
You're going to do a full-blooded cover drive. Going to cut it in half.
Or at least try to. Okay, what's your attack?
That's 15, I think.
Are you berserking?
No.
Okay. So roll d20, 12 or under.
4.
Well, that's a hit. They don't have any armor, so roll the damage.
It's D10, isn't it?
I believe so. It's next to your sword.
Yes.
It's the second dice number.
Oh, yeah. D10. Ouch. So that's perfect. So that's 11 hits. 10.
Yep. Yeah, that's in half. Okay, so that dog comes hurtling around this gout of flame up towards you as if it's going to go past you, and you just lash out with the claymore and cleave it clean in half like you were carving up a pig carcass on a butcher's block. Yeah, the two halves of the dog end up in two entirely different places.
Nice.
Right, Caradon, the sorceress. The dogs went past you. And don't seem to have been hit by the flame.
Have I recovered my senses enough to see?
Hmm?
Have I recovered my senses enough to see?
Yeah, the mist almost instantly dissipates again. So
okay, if there's nothing behind me from the direction they came, then I'll turn so that my back is facing down the hill, so that I'm now facing the threat back at the mule and everyone.
Yeah.
And I will, if I have the chance, I'll try firing another dragon breath at one of the critters.
Okay. This time the flame strikes true. So can you roll damage for it, please?
Yes, d6 plus 6. 9 points.
Okay. Flames engulf the hound. There's a horrible stench of burning hair and a high-pitched whine that gradually increases in pitch and then either goes silent or goes too high for you to hear. You're not quite sure which. But it seems to sort of curl in on itself like a dead insect and just slides to a halt, all blackened and sizzling, leaving one dog left, which goes for Sir Alain. What's Alain's defense?
My defense is 9.
Okay. It lands a strike on you. What's your armor rating?
My armor rating is 5.
Okay, it breaks its teeth on your shin guard. Next turn, it's Alain's go.
Sort of seeing it biting my shin guard and not getting through, I'm just going to try and impale it back through the head with my sword.
Okay, what's your attack?
My attack is 14.
So, yeah, 11 or under again.
18.
18. Okay, you stab down at it, and it just kind of worms its way between your legs and nips at your heels, and it's just kind of moving around you in constant circles as you stab the dirt over and over again.
Oh dear.
Becca?
Yeah, like wheel round and flank this dog and skewer it like a kebab.
Okay. So same roll as before to hit.
Well, I think I missed 15. Unless it has a bit. So what's my attack? My attack is 15.
Yeah, and its defense is 3, so you miss as well. It's a bit awkward trying to get at it as it's winding around and around Elaine. So Caradon can't really flambe it. It's too close to the others.
I will just stand guard where I am and make sure it can't flank anyone.
Okay. If it
so
breaks
makes
off,
a move to attack or flank someone, I'll skip it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll let the melee combatants handle it.
If it breaks off, I'll let you interrupt an attack.
Okay.
Okay. It twists away from Elaine and leaps, barking and gnashing with its remaining teeth at Becca. What's Becca's defense?
7.
7. Okay, you ward it off with the butt of your sword, and it doesn't manage to land a blow. Elaine, come on, hit it. You're a knight,
Yes.
for God's sake.
I know.
So 11 or under?
8.
Yay! Right, doesn't have any armor. Roll damage.
What?
Damage. Roll damage.
Second dice.
Second dice
After the
is.
slash.
Where is it?
Where's your sword? So 1d8 plus 1 damage.
D8 plus 1, yes.
Weapons and gear. Oh yeah, 1d8 plus 1. Okay. Let's give this a go. 5.
Right, you finally managed to land the blow, impaling it between its shoulder blades like an exotic insect in someone's collection to the dirt. You wait for it to stop thrashing and then sort of wipe it off your sword with your boot. Alder.
Was there any particular reason you picked a fight with a pack of mangy dogs?
Me? They would have come for us anyway. We were fresh, mobile. They merely accelerated things. Can't be normal. Look at them. No hounds like that would come charging at us. They must be ensorcelled.
Mother Clay kicks the corpse of one of the dogs. It's a vile cur. Wait a minute. She squints and starts hobbling towards the guy in the stocks.
Let me guess. Is it an older man that might be of a similar age to her?
You don't think so.
Okay.
Are you going to follow her, or...?
I am indeed, because she's not really paying much mind to her surroundings, it seems like, so I'll kind of escort her and be wary.
Someone you recognize?
She nods, and then she gets closer, calls out to the man. Solly, is that you? What are you doing out here? She bustles over to him, sort of picking her skirts up out of the mud, tutting. Yes, this is Solly. He's a member of Sir Olvar's household. What are you doing out here, Solly? What did you do? Steal some silver? As the rest of you approach in Mother Clay's wake, really, given how wet the ground is, the man's expression of gratitude towards you all for rescuing him suddenly turns to confusion and then pain. Something whizzes down from amongst the higher branches of the tree and hits him on the head. Looking up, you see a scrawny, threadbare squirrel further up the tree. It has a bunch of nuts, sort of acorns, laid out on the branch and is throwing them hard, one by one, down at the guy in the stocks.
Is it a red squirrel?
Oh, he's
You're not
cursed,
sure of
isn't
its politics, but it seems pretty angry.
he's cursed. That's why he's in the stocks. Even the animals from the woods mock him. Cursed man.
He did seem to attract the dogs, and now a squirrel.
Something's up. He protests.
Leave him to rot.
All I did. Ow! Stop throwing things, you fucking beast. All I did was show surprise when Maxim Lacroix came barging into the manor house yesterday morning. Ow! Fuck! Someone stop that bloody squirrel. Next thing I know, this bloody Lacroix has dragged Lady Angela from her bed and cast her and her newborn child out in the street. Well, of course, thunk. Ow! Of course I asked him on whose authority he had to treat her ladyship that way. Thunk. Ow! Fuck! And he says, on the authority of the new lord of the manor, me, like he's taken over, like he's in charge, God knows where Sir Olvar is, and then he orders me whipped, and then has me locked up here. Thunk! Ow! Fucking squirrel!
How many men-at-arms and guards is he in the household?
Thunk! Ow! I don't know, a few. Thunk! Ow! Bugger!
So Elaine, could you perhaps offer your shield to protect this poor guy for a moment?
It's only a few acorns, but fine.
It
Hold
does seem to be a
shield
pretty
up.
good shot with them. Okay, you hold your shield over him. A couple more acorns sort of thwack off it, and then the squirrel gives an angry chittering and leaps off from tree to tree and disappears into the woods. Oh,
But hey,
saints be praised. Thank you. Thank you 1,000 times. Thank you. It's been keeping that up almost as long as I've been here. Between that and the rain and the dogs and... I don't suppose you could let me out, could you?
Yeah, I'm afraid not. We are not lawmen.
There's a loud ticking coming from inside Becca's head. I'm thinking the midwife, newborn baby.
someone wasn't supposed to.
Well, that seems to have got her attention, and she starts interrogating Solly about the birth. I mean, literally newborn, like yesterday. The amount of time it takes for messages to pass around. You know, she's too late to do her midwifery. But it looks like someone's taken advantage of things. And where is Sir Olvar? He should be home to see the birth of his new child.
He has no male fighting age male relatives that would oppose this seeming coup.
You've seen the state of the village. There's not really anyone here. Could you please let me out? This is unjust, and he's not the lord here. Sir Olvar is not the one who put me in the stocks.
Mother Clay, will you vouch for him?
Oh,
You know
oh,
this, right?
Yes, of course, I'll vouch for him. And we need to
All
find
right.
out what's happened to her ladyship as soon as possible.
I'll try and read your expression, Sir Alan, just to see if you assent to me going forward, or if you're gonna just with a look like tell me no, I'm gonna physically stop you from doing that.
On your word be it.
Right, okay. I'll use a flat my blade to.
Becca, you help?
Yeah. I'll smash the lock with a flat of my blade.
Okay, what's your strength?
15.
Okay, it's hard going even for you, but eventually, because the wood of the stocks is so soaked from the rain and kind of swollen and split apart, you manage to wrench the lock out of one side and lift it up. Solly climbs up out of it, sort of starts rubbing his aching joints.
Becca,
Saints be
Becca.
praised. Thank you.
Becca. Next time, and I'll point over to a big rock. Use a rock and not your blade.
Well, Claymore's just really a thin metal club, so it amounts to the same thing. Right. Well, I suppose you'll be wanting to come down into town, but I suggest staying clear of the manor house for now.
Hold on a second, Sully. What about our reward? I'll just
don't
wink
have-
at him and say, lead on.
I don't have anything on me. It's in the manor house.
I'm joking. Just a moment of levity to dry your brain.
All right. Solly seems a bit too cautious and sort of moves back to the same sort of place as Mother Clay is. Well, I think you should go first in case there's any trouble or in case they're not pleased about me being let out.
Let's see here. Sully, how likely is it they're going to be not too pleased you've been let out? I sense you're perhaps holding back a little bit. We've done you right, freeing you. Do us right by arming us with all the knowledge we need.
I doubt Lacroix will be too pleased at me being let out, so perhaps we should go to the inn first and get me settled up in front of the fire, and then we can gather our wits and decide what to do. But Lacroix has no claim over this village or the manor house or anything here. It's
And if
not
he has
a
no
legitimate lord.
And if he has no claim, then he has no right to put a man in stocks.
Exactly.
Then
So,
we are acting on behalf of the law, and I can permit our actions.
And I doubt those thugs he's surrounded himself with will be quite so ready to attack a knight and a whatever you two are.
I say we
We're
should
to
go
help.
to the tavern. At least dry
Help.
ourselves.
Okay, same party order with Solly and Mother Clay in the middle with the mule?
Yes,
Okay.
I assume.
You pass down the track into the village of Maidens Vale. You make your way down the hill through the village gate, which is standing open. The gatehouse is deserted. No guards there, no men at arms, not even a man with a pitchfork to keep watch. The street is empty, and the cottages have shuttered windows. Every door is firmly closed. Many of them are decorated with folk charms to ward off evil spirits. Sprigs of heather, dried frogs nailed to the door, rabbit's feet, horseshoes, corn dollies. You reach the central... technically it's a cobbled square, but it's more square than cobbles, really. More mud than stones. And the manor house sort of looms over everything else here, proudly on the north side. Opposite the manor house is a small inn, more akin to the kind of hall that Becca might be more used to. There is, finally, some sign of life, a faint light from within the small inn. A bearded face peers out from one of the cross-hole cut shapes in the shutters, and then ducks back inside. But the door to the inn, so far, is the only one that you've seen that's not shuttered, bolted and locked. It looks like it's open, so you should be able to go in there. The road through the village continues northeast, sloping down to a bridge over a rivulet. There it passes through another gate, also hanging open, before turning east towards the black edges of the forest. It's not much of a village, but yeah, there is the inn there.
Should I go in
Man.
first and break the ice?
Yes? No? Bananas?
If you find it prudent.
Yeah, I'm going to stride in.
Okay. Right, you make your way in first. Right. You push open the door to the inn, which protests. Again, the rain has swollen the wood, so it kind of grinds on its hinges. Push open the door and find yourself in a deserted common room. There are wooden stools around a single large table, and a row of barrels lines the far wall. A stout man with a magnificent red beard you could lose a badger in, and a filthy apron, enters from a door at that side. He looks cautious, but somewhat hopeful. Hello to you good people. Welcome to my inn. If you don't mind my asking, what are you doing in Maidens Vale, of all places, at this late hour?
Ale and stew. Nice beard, by the way.
Thank you. I grew it myself. All natural.
I'll get out a couple of silver florin from my purse, toss them to him. Yeah, ale and stew all round, please.
He snaps them out of the air with a practised hand. Ah. Coin, proper silver. Right. Well, I'm Bulbin, by the way. I can sort you out somewhere to sleep, a pallet or something, here in the common room. Are there any others with you?
Indeed, we have a clergywoman with us. And
Come in. You'll catch your death. I haven't
Just
had
go-
the fire up high because, well, it's been deader than usual. Deader than a bishop's prick in here, I tell you. But,
You got any lads about to help?
throw some wood on the fire and come in, warm yourselves. I'll set you up with some straw and some pallets or something.
All right.
And he bustles about.
I'll escort our aged guest over to the fire and make her comfortable.
Yeah, she eases down and Solly eases down in the prime seats by the hearth.
So
We've got a
following
mule outside.
last.
Where can we put the mule? Do you have a stable or anything?
There's a hitching post, but you can just bring him inside if you want.
Yeah, it's
I'll bring him in and sit him in the corner. I'll pile up some
powerful
extra
wet, isn't
straw.
it?
Yeah. There wasn't much in the way of signs of life from the manor house. You didn't really see any lights or anything there. It just seemed all shuttered up. So this was really the only place you saw any sign of life at all. Right, so Bolbin bustles about, gets you some bread and cheese, and puts a pot over the fire, stokes the embers. The pots will soon start to bubble, and then you can have some stew. He brings you all big pitchers of ale or small beer for the lady. Well, for the ladies.
This place it's Maiden's Vale is in a vale across the face, or a vale is in a small valley.
Vale is in a small valley.
I would assume a small valley.
Though it may be a double entendre. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So what does bring you here? And letting Solly out the stocks. Ooh. Look at the brass balls on you.
You had no right to be there.
That's true, but who's going to argue with Lacroix and his men? Well,
I
you
am.
I suppose. Puppy!
Just boldly say, me, I am. I'm going to argue with him.
Are you a comrade of Sir Olvar?
I am not. I am a upholder of the law.
I see. That seems to nonplus him a bit. Mother Clay leans towards him and says, "So, what of Lady Angela and the child? What's happened to them? Solly tells me they were flung out of the manor house." Bolbin drags over one of the stools and somehow balances his enormous bulk on it. Yeah, that's yeah, not a nice thing. I would have tried to do something about it, but what have I got to fight with? A cosh for drunkards. They'd have just cut me down, and then where would we be? Where would you be? Without a hearth and drink and food. He's clearly trying to salve his own sort of conscience there.
You've got nothing to fear in that regard. I think you've made the best of a sorry state of affairs. No.
Well, I feel bad about it, and that's the Lord telling me there's guilt to pay for. So, be seeing the priest again soon, I suppose. Mother Clay turns to you, Sir Elaine. Do you think perhaps I might impress upon you further, beyond escorting me, to find out what has happened to Lady Angela and the babe? I'm sure Sir Olvar will be happy to reward you handsomely for your efforts.
This seems more of Ceradin's forte. I'm really interested in upholding the law here. But
we have an usurper, we have men-at-arms, we have a lady of noble birth flung out of her house with a fresh-born child. That seems to me to be unjust, at the very least. From somewhere beneath her dress, she brings out a small purse of monies and sets it down meaningfully.
It's disrespectful to women, says Becca in a really burly voice.
It's also a perfect confluence of a good deed and a good amount of coin.
for coin, we should agree.
That's all I have with me, and you can have it all. If you
Look to Sir Alain. He has my assent from my body language.
You estimate there's maybe 100 florins in the purse.
Is that enough? Because I don't know what the currency is like in this game.
I think a horse is about 250 florins. So,
But finding her is like risking our lives as well. So
Well, there's also the claim of booty from the defeated.
And the,
okay,
the
yeah,
honor,
it seems
the
honor,
justice.
yeah, it seems enough. Okay, I'll take it and say, then the deal is done. You have our word.
And
How
then
long have we had these? How long have we had these swords of Valander for?
Not long, couple of months.
I was like,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
do you not? Do you not feel a bit different? I feel different.
You do. It does seem that you have run into things during those 2 months where a champion of the people is needed, albeit thus far on a smaller scale. But this does. It's not coincidence. You think it's magic. It's subtle magic that's brought you here.
Yeah, we're being guided. Like the eagle on the wind. But we were sent here.
Baldwin sort of slaps his meaty hands on his thighs and says, well, the deal's done, and you're going to try and put things to rights here. Sprout! He hollers, and a pot boy appears from the kitchen in the back. Sprout, go and get Sethan. I'll want to meet our visitors, I'm sure, and they'll be interested to meet him, or I'm a fool.
Has his demeanor suddenly changed, like he's dropping an act, or is this...
He just seems suddenly more hopeful and less guilty, like things can be set to rights.
Okay.
The lad, Sprout, runs out of the inn into the rain. And then, not long later, assuming you're just going to sort of have chit-chat and casual conversation, but not long later, he returns, accompanied by a gaggle of frightened-looking townspeople. Well, villagers, I guess. They're eyeing you with suspicion, though Solly seems to think well of you. Mother Clay seems to think well of you. Bulbin and Sprout seem to think well of you. But these must be the village aldermen, and they seem suspicious of outsiders down to a kind of genetic level. It's probably served them well in the past. Bulbin speaks up on your behalf. It's all right, Sethan. They're here for Lady Angela. These gentle people have been accompanying Mother Clay here, I'm sure you remember. The leader of the little group of aldermen, a careworn-looking man, sort of threadbare down to his soul, apparently named Sethan, comes forward to peer at you all. I hope that's true. You've come here just in the nick of time. I beg you, sirs, madams, please bring back Sir Olvar and restore things to balance here. You must rid this town of its curse. And I don't mean Lacroix. I think all of this is down to a thing that has haunted us for some time. He sort of
went digging where you shouldn't have, eh?
No, not exactly. He sort of peers around, takes a bit of salt from a bowl on the table, tosses it over his shoulder. Queen Theon. Clearly that means something to all the locals and to Mother Clay, but it doesn't really mean much of anything to you.
Queen who?
Queen Theon. Again, he drops to a kind of scared whisper. She's a creature, a thing, a ghost, a holdover, a powerful spirit that has laid curse upon our village for many years, responsible for all our misfortunes, and doubtless this as well.
Does she control the squirrels?
What? I have no idea what you're talking about or why.
The cursed squirrels.
Squirrels.
Mean ones.
I doubt an ancient spectre of this kind would waste her time on squirrels.
Right, so now I'm interested. Now, so still have a damsel in distress, a newborn baby.
We need a promise of squirrel stew at the end of this as well.
Yeah.
If you bring the squirrels, I can cook it, says Bulbin.
Or a hat. Yeah.
Sethan drags up a stool as well and sits down near the hearth with the rest of you, with the other aldermen sort of forming a semicircle. And as the fire sort of pops and crackles, he tells you about Queen Theon. No one alive has ever seen her, but her white house has appeared in the eastern hills overlooking the town on several occasions over the years. It's in the town records. Only when the moon is nearly full, as it is, and when a child is due to be born, as it was, whenever that house appears, there's a terrible rainstorm, as the one we're having now. At daybreak of the third day after its birth, the poor little child falls sick and passes away. They say the White Lady spirits their little souls away, but no one really knows why. Many brave folk have attempted to put an end to the evil creature over the years, but none have returned from her house. Once her evil work is done, the house disappears, the storm blows out, and then we mend. But if we're ever going to see Sir Olvar again, who vanished, looking into this, just the latest one to try, and if we're ever going to make sure the babe is safe, we're going to have to deal with Queen Theon. It's not something any of us can do, but perhaps with your magic and strength of arms, you can put paid to her.
Sir Olvar is his father?
Sir Olvar's the father, yes. Lady Angela the mother.
And he's disappeared probably because he's gone to this house to try and protect his son because of the story of the curse. And
He knew of the omens. Yes.
Right, okay. Well, I guess we lay up for the night, and hopefully there's a bit of a break tomorrow, and you point us in the direction of the house, no?
He nods and then turns to Mother Clay. You vouch for these people? And she nods. And then he leans forward and in more of a conspiratorial whisper says, Lacroix cast Lady Angela out, but she's taken refuge just on the outskirts of the village, over the bridge, the cottage out there. The cook for the household lives there, and she's taken in Angela and the child. So if you wanted to talk to the lady and could be discreet about it, that's where you'll find her.
Need I remind you that we accepted coin to return a noble lady to her rightful home, not fight a witch?
One and the same, says Sethan. But if you do deal with her, I can add to your coin, if that's what concerns you.
And you shall understand that, being that we were not told these circumstances before accepting payment, if you wish to rescind on our arrangement.
Mother Clay says, well, I didn't know the full circumstances when I offered you the coin.
I think it's just more cake for us to eat.
I can
What do
pay
you think?
I can
what
pay
do you
you
think,
another.
Sarah?
I can pay you another 50 florins if you deal with this curse, says Sethan, and you'll always have a hearth here and a free meal whenever you come through our village.
What do you think of this, Saradin? Things of the supernatural seem to be your forte.
I think it's certainly worth us putting our steel where our words have been to date. We can certainly uphold the bargain we've made and do our best. I don't think we'll have much of a problem. I'm very clearly, as my fellow PCs should know if we have a backstory, I'm hamming it up a bit to appear confident in front of the locals. But, I might have an established tell where I tug on an ear, like we've got to talk later or something.
The yokels seem convinced.
Becca? We help?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Good. Then it's agreed. Bolbin turns to Sir Elaine. I can get Sprout to take you to see the lady. I think a knight would be the most reassuring person. We can't have you all tramping out there. You'll be seen.
I shall prepare for the morrow then.
Seems sensible.
Yeah. Okay. Baldwin lays out some pallets and some fresh straw for you to sleep on. It's all in the common room, but at least it's warm and you can dry out a bit, so you can get your magic points back. So we'll just briefly take Sir Alain off to see Lady Angela. So Sprout leads you out. You still don't see any light really coming from the manor house, but then the rain's beating down so hard, maybe it's put out any fires, even in hearths. It's hard to tell. So he leads you along. The road leads to a bridge over a rivulet. By the bank of the rivulet is a low cottage with a mill wheel, which isn't working. It's clogged with weeds and looks most of the way rotten. Storm water has raised the rivulet, and water courses across the street and floods out into the floodplains. Sprout knocks on the door, and middle-aged woman, big strong cook's arms, opens the door holding a rolling pin, and then lets it down. Sprout leads
Sounds
you
like my
inside.
grandmother.
I believe you must be the cook.
I am. Gable's my name. You must be this knight that Sprout was talking about earlier.
Indeed I am. Sir Alain of Braylock. I have come with my companions to lend assistance to the young maiden who is taking refuge in your house.
She curtsies with a well-practiced motion. I've got her upstairs in my room, so if you follow me.
I follow her.
Okay, it's a very narrow stairway. Lots of plaster piled up on either side, so you have to. It's a bit of a squeeze in full armor, but eventually you get into the upper room, a proper bed and all.
Good point.
Lady Angela is sitting in a rocking chair beside the small fire in the hearth here, wrapped up in a blanket. She looks pale and quite ill. But when she sees you, her face lights up a little bit. It gives me hope to see you here. I've never been in such sore need of help. My husband's gone, and I fear I'll never see him again. And at daybreak, after tomorrow night, this new child, this baby may be taken from me as well. And she starts to cry again. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible, terrible thing to lose everything so quickly, but please save my child and bring Olvar back to me if you can.
Do not fear, fair maiden. If these rumors are in fact true, then we shall dispatch of this witch and save your child in due time.
I trust that you will. I believe you. There's something about the way you speak, and you remind me of Olvar so much. So that's all your information. So you could go back and join the others. So to recap, next daybreak, so you've got a full day until dawn rises again. That's when your time will run out. Olvar went to pursue this spectre, whatever it is, and never returned. And Lacroix and his thugs kind of moved in and took over the manor house once Sir Olvar had left. So the manor house is occupied, and Angela and the child are in the care of the cook. The spectre's house that only appears at certain times is off to the east in the woods. And she's very much a local legend and a curse that has dogged these poor people for many years. There's not really a lot you can do to prepare in the village, but if you want to do any preparations or anything, or investigate anything else, now's the time.
I believe we should address the situation with Lacroix before the woman in the forest, the witch.
I was thinking something similar. We don't want a force at our back. Perhaps wind from one of the peasants seeking to curry favor, not knowing which way the wind is going to blow, that he may rat us out and say, they'll be unprepared. I suspect it might be best if, Sir Alan, you perhaps use a combination of your status and your physical intimidating bulk and so on to get a little information from one or two of these fellows about who Lacroix has with him, like how many fighting men he has, what their forces might be like, so we can maybe make a better plan of attack.
I suppose we could ask the peasants. They have been living here. They might have some idea, at least more than we do.
They probably wouldn't confide too much in someone like myself, being, a dainty, unarmored lass. But yourself, you should command some respect from them.
So you want to ask the innkeeper and the villagers about the manor house and the men there?
Yes.
Okay. So Lacroix is a power-hungry man that uses whatever influence he can garner to enjoy a fine lifestyle. He's long been rumoured to be involved with banditry and all kinds of nastiness, and just kind of uses the village as a staging ground, though he never kind of crossed that line to where Sir Olvar came down on him. According to the villagers, it was almost like he was waiting for this to happen and turned up with a bunch of thugs pretty much as soon as the opportunity was there to try and take over. Sir Olvar might be a knight, but there's not really anything in terms of a village watch or any men-at-arms or anything to stand up to Lacroix. So now that he's taken over the manor house, it's going to be hard to root him out of there. He's taken advantage of Olvar. Olvar has a tendency, so the villagers tell you, to see the best in people and to try and be fair. And that's allowed Lacroix to get away with things as much as he has.
Do they have any idea why Lacroix would have waited for Olvar to leave the manor before taking over? Because it seems like they're stronger than him anyway. He could have taken it by force.
He's a coward. He always wants to take the easy path. His men are got more spine to them, but Lacroix, he's not a fighter. He's a schemer and a weasel.
Okay. After gaining this information, then I return to the common room and relay the information back to my companions. I see that we have two options in front of us. Either we take the manor house now and deal with the witch later, or we deal with the witch first, reclaiming Olvar to the town, in which case he seems to have some influence over Lacroix, and the bandits may leave voluntarily, seeing that he has returned.
That might be the best tactic, to return him to his righteous or to his just position in the town, and then allow him to mete out justice against Lacroix with us perhaps in the background. Are your eyes two different colors?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them's blue, the other's like teal.
Yes, okay. I just sorry for the side. I thought I was seeing something.
Yes, he's the reincarnation of David Bowie. Didn't
I
you?
am David Bowie.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I going to say? But There is, of course, the fact that Lacroix may act and attempt to take the life of the lady. I've forgotten her name. Whilst
Angela.
we have left, while she is undefended. In which case, taking the manor house now would be the most prudent course of action.
Bulbin interjects. I think she's safe with the cook. And me and Sprout and any other able-bodied men, if they so much as look towards the cook's house, we'll get between them. Give you enough time.
Okay, so Mother Clay perhaps could go out there with a few extra folks and a few stout, cautious you cut from the wood nearby, and wait for us all to return with Sir Olin.
So Olvar.
Olvar, I apologize.
Olvar.
Yeah, she also says, Also, I have a sharp pin I can stab anyone with who gets too close, and even villains like these normally balk at killing an old woman. I think that's why they left me before.
You can lure him in close and get him right here in the soft spot in the neck if you need to.
We must exchange notes.
Sir Alan, what say you?
That seems like a good plan.
Okay, so if I've got this straight, so you're going at daybreak, so you've got the maximum amount of time possible after you've rested. You're going to head off looking for this Spectre's house, hoping to return with Sir Olvar and use his presence and your force of arms to intimidate Lacroix into leaving. Is that the plan? Okay, cool.
Into buying his way into leaving. Paying for the privilege to leave alive.
Okay, so...
a ransom of sorts, a living ransom.
I don't think anyone took any damage, did they? So you can just replenish any magic points you spent and rest up. And then you can leave on your quest at daybreak. Right. If the cockerels hadn't woken you up, Bulbin hammering the stew pot with a big metal spoon certainly did it.
He's getting all the dry bits off, is he?
That and just waking you up, you think?
Clumps.
Rise and shine. Times are wasting. Sun's just about up.
Tea and rolls it is for the road.
He carves you off some hunks of fresh bread and some cheese and wraps them in handkerchiefs and gives them to you there for the road.
All right.
Ew.
And he also gives you a thick glass bottle of beer to take with you. Good for what ails you. Ails you. See what I did there?
I did. We're going to have a brave laddle on here to tend the mule while we're inside the witch's house.
Sprout sort of looks around as if you're talking to somebody else and sort of...
I've got a couple of coins for you.
Then I'm in.
Like that.
All right. We'll call it 2 florins, yes?
5?
Oh, that's nice.
5 it is. I'm not going to quibble
All right.
in the time of need.
He grabs a stout stick and is certainly willing to follow with you.
All right. I'll mark that down as soon as I have a hand free.
Who's coming? The barman?
Sprout, the kid, the pot boy.
Sprout.
Right. And away you go. Plus he's a useful local guide as well. Right. So, yeah. The sun's just rising. The sky is still sort of pink and yellow as the sun slowly creeps up. The storm is still raging, so it's almost as dark as night, even with the sun coming up. And the rain is just so utterly soaked into everything. You're just sloshing with every movement. You cross the old stone bridge above the raging waters of the rivulet, which is now starting to spread out over the fields and killing a lot of crops, and head north out of the village, following Sprout's directions. Ahead, the road turns east, and then plunges beneath the forest's black eaves. Marking the edge of the forest is an ancient stone wall with a ramshackle gatehouse built into it. Finally, you see someone else. An old man stands in the porch of the gatehouse with a lantern, and there's a raven perched on his shoulder. Morning.
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 I've heard tell of what you're doing, what you're about. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Pray tell, who might you be?
I am Porthwar, and this is my raven, Gristbitten. We've guarded this Eve's Gate for many years. I've seen a babe taken before, so I certainly wish you the best of luck. Word of caution, though. About an hour ago, some of Lacroix's men, some of his cell swords, came out through the gate. Maybe 5, maybe 10 at the most.
Where'd they go?
Same way you're going, I reckon. So I'd
They
watch
might
out.
be.
Well, don't worry, they won't be coming back.
How many more folk does he have in there guarding? Any idea?
I think he's had 10 men with him, so if he sent them all out, he's alone, which I doubt. So I'm thinking it was closer to the 5 that went out.
Jim, how far are we from the town? If I wanted just to tread back and
If you wanted to, this is just like at one edge of the village, so not
Okay.
far at all. A couple of minutes jog.
gentlemen.
They may,
Oh yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
they may be planning to dispatch of Obrak. Obrak, was that his name?
Bolvar,
Ovar.
I have an idea. With the wise women and so on here, and the innkeep being one of the only suppliers of grog and whatnot, while we're out here at the Spectre's house, why don't we have them brew up a laxative brew, like an alcoholic tea or something like that, some ginger beer, just load it up with all the laxative roots they know and gift it to the new lords of the town so they're incapacitated later on. You can't fight with loose bowels.
Yeah, they could do that. Do you want to send Sprout running back with the message?
I'll go back with Sprout, and
Okay.
I'll come back to you, gents, in a moment. I'll speak with
I don't believe we have enough time to spare.
Mother Clay. Just 2-3 minutes and go back and talk with her. I'll be back. They'll do all the brewing and fixing.
Yeah.
But
Um,
his men are marching ahead. You have to chase after them.
Sprout says, I can do it. I know
All
what
right,
you're saying.
Sprout.
Send the
You do
boy
that,
back.
Then you run back and join
Then
us,
I can catch back up to you.
Perfect.
Okay, he goes sprinting off, and they're going to try and accomplish that plan.
Okay, you went down. I know.
Right.
Aye.
Once you enter the forest itself, once you get beneath the leaves and the branches, it is as dark as night, even though the sun has risen. Between the storm clouds and the rain and the thick coverage of the trees, you really can't see very far in front of yourselves. Does someone want to light a lantern or cast moon glow or anything in order to be able to see?
I was thinking of that, but we have mundane sources of light, and I imagine my spell points are precious resources.
Yeah, I like a lantern.
Yeah, I'm gonna light a. I have a lantern.
Yeah.
I according to the rules of this book, being in darkness is not a good idea.
No.
I read the book.
Yeah. You're going to have to either sling your shield or carry the lantern awkwardly on the same arm as the shield.
That I think by the rules of the book, I have to sling my shield or
Okay.
sword.
I
not entirely
would,
sure.
because your arm goes through the shield, I would let you hold it, but it's just going to be awkward, so you wouldn't be able to use the shield without dropping the lantern, but
Your arm does not go through the shield. That's not how shields work.
it depends on the shield. There's the ones that strap to your arm. Like that.
I'm going off for a loo break.
No.
I've got to let my pop out. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's alright.
No shields.
Come on, boy.
I'll hold the lantern. Don't worry.
Okay. As long as someone does.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you hold the lantern, that'll be fine.
Okay.
It'd be much better if I actually had my shield.
Yeah. Okay, if he's taking a loo break, I need another drink, so 2-minute break.
Yeah, the whole thing about shields, the thing where it's like people think that shields strapped to your arm. They don't. Like if you had a big shield strapped to your arm and then someone hit it with a sword, it would break your arm. Like all shields, you hold onto them with your hand, so you cannot hold anything whilst holding a shield. I'm talking to myself. Hello? Hello.
I am back.
Yeah, that thing with the shield is like, it always gets me. But like, people think for some reason that you strap a shield onto your arm, and that's not true. Like, if you had a shield strapped onto your arm and then someone hit it with a sword, it would break your arm. Like straight away. All shields, you hold onto them. So you cannot hold anything with your shield hand.
I guess it's LARPers and reenactors not building them properly.
Yes, 100%. Like if you look at like pictures of shields, they'll have like a boss in the middle.
Yeah.
And the handle for the shield will be affixed to the boss, like right in the center, and that's what you hold on to.
Looks like it depends on the design, but yeah, most of them are handles, not straps. I guess it's just what we're used to seeing. One of those things that everyone thinks is right but isn't.
Yes, very much so. I liked how you mentioned pallets and the fact that beds don't exist as well.
Yeah,
like,
it's partly meant to show just how impoverished this place is, but I mean, even decent places often won't have beds.
Depending on the time period, only nobility would have beds.
Yeah.
Like even like well-to-do, or well, not well-to-do, but like better off peasantry, commoners or whatnot, would still not have beds. They would have like these like I can't remember the name of them, but they're basically like these boxes that you put like hemp like stuffed with straw in. And then like the lowest of it is a pallet, which is just a straw mat.
Some of the nobles, their beds were almost like rooms within rooms, so like they had doors on the side that would open up, and you would enclose yourself. At night.
Didn't the expression "sleep tight" come from what you're describing, where they'd have like a bag of straw and so on, and you have to cinch it up and make it firm and tight overnight while your weight pressed down on it?
Possibly.
Yeah, it comes from there were no springs, so it was a rope that was looped between the bed frame. So you'd pull the rope tight.
Can't have been that comfortable. I mean, I fell asleep on a slowly deflating airbed once, and that gave me nightmares. So. Of being eaten. It's horrific. Right. If everyone's back and all good. Right, there is really only one path through the forest here. Everything else is thick with thorns, dog roses, and fallen trees. So it's pretty much impossible.
I'm going to change my grip. I'm going to take out my claymore and rest it on my shoulder with one hand and hold the lantern in my offhand.
Yeah. Okay, so you can set it down or whatever, ready to fight. Okay. Even with the light, as the path continues to wind through the gloomy, dripping forest, the pouring rain makes it hard to see very far, though eventually the path enters a small clearing. On the far side of this clearing is a chalky cliff face, maybe 10 meters high, running north and south. Near the bottom of the cliff, tied to a tree root, is a dappled grey horse that looks like it's been here a couple of days. So yeah, it's soaked through and sort of muddy up to its knees, and it's just sort of moving around, pulling a little at the rein and chewing on tufts of grass.
I know I'm more used to elk, but does this look like a fine-bred beast?
Well, both Sir Alain and yourself have the capability to ride, decent pedigree horses, and this looks like a decent pedigree horse.
Does it have tack, or is it wild?
It's not wild. It looks like it probably did have tack, but someone's removed it. But you would lay good odds that this is Sir Olvar's horse. You don't see anyone else around here as likely having a horse of such fine breeding.
Is it branded? Would that be a thing in the Middle Ages for a horse to be branded? I have no idea.
Probably not.
Okay. Just in case we needed confirmation. Go ahead.
There's no comparison or anything.
No.
Well, I'll go over and I'll attempt to soothe it. Must be in distress.
It seems pretty tame and well trained. Nudges your hand. Do you want to?
Seems too well breeded to be a brigand's horse. Must be Sir
Olvar's.
Olvar. Keep wanting to call him Ulfric. Must be Sir Olvar's.
Ulfric von Liechtenstein.
ULVAR? Olvar?
OLVAR.
Thank you.
Must mean he's around here somewhere close by.
Or came this way, perhaps.
Came this way.
Yeah. Or
Voice in my head.
you said there was a chalk cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, perhaps he couldn't ride up, so he left it here. But what was he saddled on?
Perhaps he did not have time to saddle it. In which case, I believe you might be correct. He may have dismounted in order to climb the cliff. Very good thinking.
Our mule should be able to make it with us, yes?
It's too steep. You'd have to go around if you were to get the mule up the slope. And the forest is so dense and so on. It's not really practicable.
I believe we should tie the mule here.
Yes. In terms of carry capacity and whatnot, I'm not familiar. Do we really have to worry too much about encumbrance given what we have?
If you look on your character sheets under gear, so I've got one set of slots. Basically, it's a very rough approximation of how many items you can carry. Yeah. So the first set of numbers is stuff that's handy that you can kind of access immediately. Then the backpack can carry half again as much. But you'll have to stop and open up the backpack and rustle through. So it's just a very rough approximation. You've basically got that many slots of things you can carry.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Kerridan, you're fully loaded by the looks of it. You've got like 4 potions in there?
Yes, I mean, I have a list of 10 items here, and then there's a 5th slot in my backpack that's empty. Yes?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I shan't really need the rations or the bedroll or my purse. My water skin, perhaps maybe a day of rations and a water skin, and then my healing potions and gear, weaponry.
I think we can carry everything that we have on ourselves anyway. So we can just leave the mule.
Just a few extras on the mule.
All right. No worry then, it's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the mule is that we may have a tent and cooking gear and spare
gear.
Yeah. That's all on the mule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's tie the mule. And
we tie up the mule beside the horse and we go.
Okay. Are you climbing one at a time, or are you all climbing up?
I'd assume one at a time.
Okay. Who wants to climb?
Yes, but
Yeah, the person who's
I-
best at climbing. I don't know who that is.
Well,
But I
highest
assume
reflexes is best at
us,
climbing.
yeah, us being familiar with each other, we would know who's the best at climbing.
That's you, I think.
Is
So,
that
Alain?
me?
Yes.
I have reflexes of 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's me.
very, very, very high. Yes.
Ah.
Probably the best climber.
I volunteer to go first. It doesn't seem too steep, but it has been raining. So
Right.
I
Nick,
avoid.
Leave
I
it in the ground
advise
for us
we.
with your massive.
You could take a rope with you and lower it down afterwards.
True.
I don't have a rope.
Some of you do have rope on your equipment, I think. There might be some on the
Do
mule.
you?
Yeah, I've got some rope here. Here, have some rope.
And, give it here. I'll.
30 feet of rope. There we are.
How high is the cliff? 30 feet.
The rope's about 10 meters. The cliff's about 10 meters. So,
Nice.
it's about
Okay,
right.
I'll climb up and lower down, and you can use the rope
Right.
to climb
So
up without any hindrance.
It's all loose chalk and it's quite slippery, almost like wet clay. Here and there's like sort of large flint nodules stuck in it, which give you a bit more of a grip. You get about 7 meters up when you hear a grinding noise above you, and a boulder comes tipping over the edge and falling towards you.
Christ! I jump to the side.
What's your evasion?
My evasion is 6. It's not very high.
Right, you are just clipped by it. What's your armor rating?
5.
Okay, it rams into your shoulders downwards and really does you a mischief. Takes 6 health points of damage.
Dear Lord.
You rolled poorly. And what's your reflexes? 16. wasn't it?
16.
Okay, you manage to hold on and don't fall off, but that arm's wrenched.
Someone push that!
Oh dear. Where to rush him? What?
You hear laughter from several men's voices and running away sounds.
I'm going to charge up the slope. I'll drop the lantern and charge up the slope.
Yeah, I'm waiting for waiting for you to do that so that I can climb up with you.
So what's Becca's reflexes?
13.
Right. You try to scramble up the slope. You're going a bit too fast, though, and you plummet off it when you're almost at the top. Falling damage.
He plummets off of it? He doesn't slide down?
Games mastering.
Oh my.
Falling damage. Nope. Nope. Hazards, maybe that's where it is. No. Fucking hell, why isn't it in the index? Combat? No. Falling. There we go. Page 64. Got there in the end. Should have probably looked this up beforehand. Okay. Right. Becca takes 4 hit points of damage.
Oh, is it reduced by armor? That's all?
Yes, I've already reduced that
Oh.
from armor. Even with a knackered arm, it's probably best for Alain to make his way up and drop the rope.
Okay, I'll continue climbing.
All right. You grit your teeth through the pain, struggle up the rest of the way, tie off the rope and throw it down. And with the rope, the rest of you can make your way up easy enough. There's no sign of the people that did it, but there are a couple of other boulders which have been rolled here. There's just really kind of big, chunky flint nodules, really, and no wonder it hurts so much.
I'll start digging through my pack, and I'll withdraw 2 healing potions. I've only got 3 of these, and I'll hand 1 to each of my compatriots.
Yeah. I think they can
Fools
heal
we are.
7 hit points.
Yes, 7 HP.
Yeah.
We should keep our strength up if we are to fight. We should
Indeed.
drink these now.
Okay. So if you want to cross off those 2 potions, and if you 2 want
Yep.
to heal the wounds that you've taken.
SP minus 2 potions.
Dishonourable bastards, whoever they were. There's the similar sort of hobnail boots imprints that you saw at the ambush of the carriage. So you
I'm
reckon
not
it's...
going to drink my potion just yet.
Okay.
It's just a scratch.
So you reckon it's the same mob?
Right. I'm going to do for them when I catch him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to change anything about the way you're approaching things as you move on?
They seem to know that we are here.
Yes. Would it make sense to maybe approach the witch's house obliquely, kind of skirt round? Kind of take the long way around if it just takes maybe an extra hour or 2? Rather than heading up in a straight line, perhaps we can go around like that.
But at the same time, we cannot allow them to get there before us.
Well, that was only 3 or 4 of the men, so I suspect there's a bunch maybe setting up they're maybe leapfrogging a series of ambushes, right? The boulders, and then the next one is ready with them lying in wait, while the boulder tossers, as they they go further back around to prep the next one, and then just maybe leapfrog this series of ambushes at us. So
Perhaps someone should scout ahead in front.
I'm not
Whilst,
sure if this character has any great scouting abilities. I don't see it as a listed skill. Is it kind of an
stealth and
everyman
perception?
skill,
So
or?
stealth is for sneaking.
Okay.
It's a main stat rather than a skill.
Oh, 13 there. I see. Okay, I apologize. Is that decent within the context of the game? A score of 13?
Yeah, that's reasonably good for a first level
Yeah.
character.
All right. If since I'm undamaged, I don't have a great amount of physical fortitude like you warriors, but if I keep my wits about me and I stay stealthy, I
we
might
all
be
have
stealthy.
13 stealth as well, so
Oh,
we may as well do it as well. Perhaps if we try to walk slowly through the bracken, we might be able to loop around and get the drop on them for a change instead. We know which direction they went.
right.
They may assume we take the main path.
Right. Let's see.
Okay.
Seems like a plan.
Well, if you want to scout around,
What was the young man's name? Who was
Sprout.
with us? Sprout. Has he caught up with us again?
no, he's staying there with the mule.
Ah, yes. Okay, but he's at the base of the cliff. Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll look down at him.
Okay.
Sprout. Have you been up on this rise before? You know any of the terrain up here?
No, that's where the Spectre lives. I don't go that way. Not crazy.
Even in the light of full noon, you've never poked around and taken a girl up into a shady bough or anything?
No, bugger that.
Ah, I see. And I'll just kind of wink at him.
Look after the horse and the mule. But if at the first sign of trouble, I want you to run back to the inn.
Will do.
That took a lot of convincing.
Right.
Need any.
Who's got the lowest stealth score out of all of you?
I'm a 13.
Yeah, I've got 13 as well.
We all have 13 stealth.
Okay.
But unless you want to modify that for armor.
No. It's only if you wear armor heavier than your character class is allowed that you get penalties. So, okay. So the plan is to kind of move around and come in
Kind of flank them if we can.
at the lady's house, hopefully, flanking anybody that might be on the main path.
Yeah, maybe on a 30 or 40 degree angle of approach. If my head is where the house is, right?
Yeah.
The line of my nose would be a straight line of approach. If we can kind of circle around to one of the two sides and come in that way.
Okay. It is heavy going, and it is slowing you down an enormous amount. Swallowed up by the trees, you occasionally see the remnants of old houses, like there was another village here a long time ago, but everything's collapsed in and is overgrown, sort of tangled with roots and covered with moss. There's nothing left of it, really. Nothing to really show who lived here or how long ago it really was. But it's a little unsettling to see a whole village just kind of swallowed up by the woods. You can't help but wonder if that's the fate that lies in wait for Maidens Vale. Occasionally you catch glimpses of the main path, and after a while that path comes to a junction, and peering through the trees to that junction, hiding your light as best you can, you see a couple of men, presumably members of these bandits or these mercenaries, whoever they are, Lacroix's men, but they're lying completely still on the path. One's face down in the mud, the other one's sort of curled away from you.
Laying down as if they've been accosted, or there's breath steaming in there and hiding?
There's no sign of breath.
Perhaps our stealthy approach was for naught. Or perhaps they are attempting another ambush, laying down, pretending to be dead. So we approach them and they jump out, knives. Needless as we should approach.
Are they in the path?
They're on the path, you're off the path.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind rushing out and stabbing one, just in case, to be sure.
Chuck a big rock at his head.
Yeah, I'm just going to walk out of the brush, sword and shield in hand.
Okay, so holding your shield at the ready and sword ready to strike, you move forward, leaving the others in cover for now. Move over towards them. The guy face down in the mud is covered in wounds, sort of heavy blows that split open the flesh, and he's just been left there, arms and armor and everything. The other body is curled up, facing away from you.
Just nudge him over with my boot.
Okay, so you move over to that one and nudge him over.
That's unusual.
The body rolls over. He's got blank white eyes, an expression of absolute abject terror, and his hair has gone sort of grey back, most of it.
Fudge.
Frightened to death.
So it would seem.
He must have heard from his attorney regarding the alimony.
These fellows, they they leave nothing behind, so they must have been in a real state to leave this guy here with all his kit.
Well, that's what's weird. It looks like there was a fight, but then nobody sort of ran away or scattered. Rather, there's 3 sets of pretty well-ordered footprints taking the right-hand path.
I'm curious. Can I, when makes sense for us to come out of cover, if we're naturally breaking from cover and examining the bodies,
Yeah.
can I examine to see if this is a makeup job that's been done onto this critter, onto this body, or is the hair genuinely shocked white and so on?
The hair is genuinely shocked white. It's not been bleached or anything. There's no roots or anything showing.
Okay.
He's also absolutely stone cold, as if he'd been dead for a very long time, not just the matter of maybe an hour.
Does he seem consumed somewhat, withered a little bit, husk-like at all?
Yeah, it's almost like the life has been drained out of him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's not cosmetics.
I believe this is supernatural in origin.
Yeah. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, but you think he's born with it.
Supernatural. Mystical. That's a better word to use.
But the men seem to have marched off in good order down the right-hand path.
Stealthily follow? Yes?
It seems prudent.
Do you want to go off the path again?
I believe it would take too long.
I concur. You're probably right about that. From your description, Jim, it was eating up a fair bit of time, slogging through, and
I don't believe they know that we are advancing or would be laying an ambush at this point.
Okay.
I believe whatever has attacked them or whatever situation happened here, they're too preoccupied with that to worry about us.
Okay.
you're likely right.
Right. Who's got the highest perception score?
I believe that may be myself with... Oh, no, I only have a 6.
I have a 5, so you've got one more than me.
Okay.
I got a 5 as well.
Okay.
6 it is, then.
Yep. Okay. As you follow the right-hand path, the tracks continue in pretty good order, but you start to notice corn dollies hanging from branches left and right.
I don't know what those are. I'm sorry.
Sort of woven little dolls made of corn. Traditionally, they were made from the last sheaf of corn taken from a field.
Okay.
Supposed to have the spirit of the harvest in them.
Have you seen the Blair Witch Project?
Yeah. I was just thinking of the TV show True Detective with the weird kind of yellow king, hanging. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but
it's the right
it's
kind of vibe.
It's spooky woods, decorated, don't go here, witch kind of stuff. Yeah.
Only corn dolls are normally considered a good thing, a good omen, a protective thing.
These are tainted somehow or nasty, yeah?
No, but they do look almost sort of singed or blackened as you pass them, as if something has
rotted,
done something to them.
Okay.
Nope.
You're not far from the house now, you think. You can sort of see this unearthly pale blue glow. It's within sight. Not really enough to see by yet, but close. But there is another obstacle in the way for you. You pass through another sort of screen of trees and come to the edge of a deep gorge. An ancient bridge once crossed here, but it's been shattered, so there's only the kind of remnants at each end. And far down below, it looks like the rivulet from the village has kind of grown up, and the floodwaters combined with that are flowing, really rapidly through it down below. You can see the bank. You can physically see the bank being eroded from the sheer amount of water that's roaring through there. It's about 8 meters across. So too far to jump, really.
Are there any living trees nearby that could be felled to bridge that gap?
Yes, there are. Do any of you have an axe?
Left it at home.
How far back were some of the abandoned huts and houses? Might we scavenge an axe from there, or would a dragon breath do it?
A dragon breath would probably do it, but then your bridge would be on fire.
I wouldn't light the whole tree. It would be one end of it, and then we could stamp it out or throw earth on it to put that out.
The rain would probably put it out fairly quickly too. But
Okay.
yeah, you could use a dragon breath to fell a tree.
To make sure it falls properly, perhaps we should attach some of the rope and have you gents encouraging it in a direction already when I snap it with a dragon breath, so we kind of mitigate all the circumstances we can for randomness.
Okay.
Yes. Is this an okay plan, or do we have an alternative
Yeah,
suggestion?
it's the only plan we got. Instead of fording the river, but
Note to self: buy an axe.
I know a video game that warns against that.
Warns against what? Fording a river?
Fording a river.
Right.
Yes,
then.
if I can, I'll spend one of my spell points.
Yeah, I mean, you can take as much time as you want lining it up and tying the ropes and everything, so it's not really an issue for you there. Okay, so you unleash the dragon's breath against the base of the tree. It burns through the roots, bores deep like a lightning bolt into the body of the tree, and with you two hauling on it, it slowly falls and lands with a thump across the gap,
Excellent.
shaking off a whole bunch of leaves. The stump smoulders for a short while, and then the rain puts it out.
Excellent.
Lead the way, gentlemen.
Right. Who's got the lowest reflexes out of you?
I think it's me.
Mine 11, I believe. Yes.
Okay. You doing anything like roping each other together or holding hands or?
I have an idea about this, gentlemen, before we cross over, if I may.
What's the plan?
The rope we have is 30 meters in length, yes?
10 meters in length.
I'm sorry, 30 feet, 10 meters, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here in Canada, we learn both, and I mix up feet and meters all the time. Could we perhaps have one of us go across one at a time, but while you're standing just above where the tree would have empty space below it, have the rope looped down around it and then looped around your waist, so that while you're walking, you just kind of throw the rope a little bit, you tug it underneath the tree, so that if you do fall, you yourself are tied up around so you don't snap right off, and we can just haul it back up.
Similar to how people use rope or a belt to climb a tree, but just vertically, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that would work.
It's a lumberjack trick, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll get you all across safely. That'll reduce the difficulty enough that no one has to roll. So,
Okay.
not a problem. Right. Yeah. So between you, you manage to cross over one after another. Once you're on the far side of the gorge, there's no more corn dollies around that you can see, and it doesn't seem to be much else that's standing in your way. You can see the lights of what you presume is the Spectre's house now, visibly flickering like swamp lights, like will-o'-wisps through the trees. The path the rest of the way seems to be entirely clear.
As a sorcerer, do I have any kind of extrasensory perception that I can attune or somehow sense if there's ley lines or active magical or spiritual energy or anything like that?
You've got a good chance of recognizing magic or spells and things from your studies. It's the mystics can tell immediately that something is magical or not. But for you, you'll have to consult your memory.
Okay, then I'll try to assess the area using whatever knowledge I might be able to draw upon from my tutoring and learning to see if things do indeed line up or if there's anything I can glean from the information.
What's your intelligence?
13.
You can't remember any real specifics, but that this house, this spectre, only appears at certain times. Suggests that she comes from one of the other worlds, either the land of the dead or limbo or the demonic realm, something like that. So she's going to be a very powerful supernatural entity.
And is this a kind of possibly a two-way incursion? Are we going to be leaving our own realm, or are they planted firmly in ours, for example?
Oh, no.
It's likely possible that you could, if you're not careful, end up somewhere else.
Oh shit!
I'm not liking that.
No, nor am I.
We're not sign up for that.
No, that's a bridge too far. It's not very heroic, but I mean, we are somewhat. We're mercenaries, urged somewhat more to the good side with these swords and so on. But
And there's no sign of the house.
It's not far. You don't think there's anything else really in your way until you get there.
Let's watch for any severe changes in vegetation or the footpath, or pay attention to the hairs on the back of your necks.
Yeah, I mean, Becca was a fairly simple, superstitious girl from the Northern Wastes.
Yeah. So advancing with extreme caution is basically what you're doing now.
I think that's fair. Sir Alan in the front?
So
brave Sir Robin.
brave Sir Robin.
You did defeat the chicken of Bristol, so
I was going to mention the chicken.
Did you ever play the text adventure of Holy Grail?
No.
Oh, I didn't know there was one.
There was.
No,
You could fight the chicken of Bristol. It was actually quite dangerous. It was a giant chicken. Anyway.
But like a full-on cockatrice, was it?
Not as bad as that, but still a giant chicken. And if you've ever seen chickens...
It's fantastic, if you've played the Witcher 3 video games, how some of the beasties in there are chicken-like, right?
Yeah.
They're raptor-like. The whole idea of modern birds being evolved from dinosaurs and so on. It's a wonderful little homage to that in the game.
There's a village near me called Werwell, and there's a famous legend of a cockatrice that's supposed to be there. They have a weather vane with the cockatrice on it. It's quite interesting. Anyway, up through the trees, you see this flickering bluish light. As you approach, you realize that this is the building that you saw from far below, the light that you saw in the distance, but it's only a house in the most primitive possible sense. There's a low chalk cliff with small black windows in it. So this is more like a burrow or a cave dug into the chalky cliffside. A wide ledge with rough steps hewn into it leads up to it, and the cliff is entwined by great knots of ancient tree roots, which are adorned with hundreds of tallow candles, all lit, somehow ignoring the rain and the wind that whirls around them.
Wonderful.
Between you and the entrance, there's a pair of ancient stones, graven with ancient runes, and standing before the entrance are two men in mercenary attire, mercenary gear. What have they got? Some padded armor, some leather and hide, spears. So sort of standing there on guard, almost. Their mouths are slack and hanging open. Their eyes have been replaced by dancing, flaming blue lights.
I was just
flanking
thinking.
the two men are a pair of hounds, but much bigger than the dogs that you saw before. When they sort of get up from where they're lying down, they reach, slightly above the men's waist, and their mouths and their eyes are aflame with the blue light. Because you were moving forward cautiously, they haven't actually noticed you yet, but they just seem to be standing on guard.
Dear Lord.
I assume that these men have been possessed.
Yeah, I suspect they're reanimated corpses of sorts, if their eyes have been replaced.
We shall have no problems slaying them.
Assuming they can die from mortal weapons.
For all that they've
aren't
been
our
possessed,
swords?
they do
Oh.
appear to just be men. It's the hounds that you're a little more worried about.
Yeah.
Aren't our swords not mystical?
We don't have mortal weapons, so do we?
True,
Oh,
you have magical
right.
weapons.
I'm not thinking, yes, this is... Oh, yeah. Do we have any crossbows or bows, gentlemen? Do you have any armaments like that?
No, that's another note to self. Buy bow. Or javelins, so
Yeah, javelins would be good too.
it's more my style.
Perhaps
Would a full hit from a dragon breath take one of these critters out? Have I any idea?
Well, certainly make them angry, wouldn't it?
How much damage can Dragon Breath do? It's
Each 6 plus 6?
yes, you think that could, if you're lucky, take one of them out. But you want to preserve some of your power for going after the spectral witch.
Yes, but also I don't want... I mean, there are 2 frontline combatants in our party, and there are 4 of them, right? And the dogs would be able to savage you while you're taking on the men-at-arms.
and perhaps it would be wise to split them up. They seem to be enchanted to guard the house. If we cause some sort of distraction, perhaps one or two of them might break from their ranks,
That's
whilst the other 2 stay and defend the house. Then perhaps we might be able to lay an ambush for them.
very good thinking. Not very knightly of you, but very good.
And worst case scenario, all 4 of them leave, and or at least we have led them into a trap.
Full attack.
and pardon?
Full attack.
Leroy.
Yeah, have we come across any spoor from badgers or groundhogs or anything like that?
Probably, yeah.
I'm wondering if we might be able to fish 1 or 2 of those out and maybe make a bit of a lure, some blood and guts to lure the hounds, or the squealing sounds of one of these critters, maybe.
Yeah, you could try and find an animal to use as bait. What were you thinking of in terms of a distraction?
That's exactly it. The animal could be blooded somewhat, so it's frenzied and all scritched up. Once it's tied, right, like literally like a sacrificial lamb, or it's a stalking goat.
Okay.
While it's screaming and I mean, I'm not happy to do it in real life. I'd never do it, but we're hard.
It would take time to find an animal like that, though.
Okay.
I was thinking more of like a rock.
Yeah.
noise.
Okay. I'm too elaborate.
Whatever the case, we can't attack them head on. It's 4 against 3. And one of us doesn't even fight in front ranks. It would
Right.
be 2 against 1. With one person throwing fireballs from afar, it would be suicide.
Hopefully, I won't miss.
Okay, so you're gonna heft a rock and hope that that draws some of them off.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of laying weight off the side in the brush.
Yeah.
I have another idea, gentlemen. I have another idea. Hold on a second. Let me use a little bit of my blood, and we'll scent up a couple of rocks. Like we'll make a rustle, and hopefully they're still activated with their scent, right? So they'll sniffle and snuffle one rock, and then throw another one a little further away to make a little sploosh in the grass with that scent to draw them, and then maybe one or two more, and then maybe they'll bugger off like that.
Okay. Lose 1 health to cut yourself and get enough blood to cover the rocks, and then who's hefting the rocks?
I'll chuck them.
Okay.
And I shall hide behind a tree, waiting for them to cross my path. Jump out, slay. At least that's the plan. Can't wait for it to go horribly wrong.
Okay. You hurl the rock, and then the second rock. The 2 hounds with the flaming maws just sort of look and sort of sniff the air. The fire flares a little, but they stay where they are. The 2 men, however, march sort of stiffly, as if they're scarecrows or marionettes of some kind, and head towards where the noise was.
Right. Dice and slice time.
Are they walking towards where we're hiding?
No, they're walking towards where you set up the distraction. So you probably get a couple of turns of combat with the hellhounds before the thugs return.
Okay, okay.
Were you thinking perhaps that you and Becca were laying in wait for them to come?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We were leading them towards us.
Okay, so you want to ambush the thugs as they reach you, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so you basically get a free ambush turn, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so yeah, they march towards the rocks, or coming past you, and now is the time to spring the trap. So, yes. Elaine, what are you doing?
I was sort of like hiding behind like a rock or a tree or something, waiting for them to walk as close as they can.
Yeah.
And as soon as that moment is now, I swing out and swing my sword into hopefully its neck.
And hopefully with better luck than against dogs.
Hopefully with better luck than I have had in the past.
Okay. Right. What's your attack?
My attack is 14.
Okay. That's an ambush. So yeah, just roll 14 or under.
Don't forget you get to add +1 for the sword.
3.
Yeah, you should get +1 to your attack as well for the sword, but yeah, don't worry about it. You hit, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, roll armor bypass.
Armor bypass.
It's the first dice number before the slash.
For your blade, I think it's both D8 +1 for both values.
D8 +1.
Yeah, yep. So roll
that. 4.
Okay, get past the armor and damage.
1.
1 +1 though, so that's 2 damage.
2.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you whirl round out of cover and drive your sword into his back. But the pack that he's wearing and the stuff that he's got in it, absorbs some of the blow. But you do draw blood, which you see when you draw your blade back. Becca?
They're going to charge out. Hit the other one.
Okay. Leaving your lantern behind, I'm guessing. You don't really need it now. You've got the light from the witch house. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so just roll under your attack. What did you get?
1.
That's a crit.
Yeah.
Okay,
You'd be-
you automatically bypass armor and roll the damage twice, adding it together.
Oh, it's D10, isn't it? 6, 8, 14.
Very nice.
Okay, you
Ouch.
spring out of cover, and with an upward swipe, you lop his head off his shoulders.
Second decapitation in the game.
Becca, help!
Well done.
Right, Kerridan.
I will, if it's possible for me to do, leap forward and backstab the fellow that Sir Alan hit.
Okay, so just roll under your attack. Well, equal to or under your attack.
All right, that is 11, and 18. No.
Okay, so he's knocked out of your path by the stab that he's taken. Right, so ambush turn over. He can now defend himself, but he's got to try and defend himself against 3 of you. So you could have to split your defense when you've got multiple attackers, which is quite a nice way of doing things, really. Right, so Alain, take 2 away from your attack and tell me what you're doing.
When you say take 2 away, you mean that's a bonus that he's getting to his roll? Like reducing, lower is better?
It's taken away from your attack.
So my attack would be 12 then.
Yeah, so you would need to roll 12 or under.
Oh, his defense. Okay, I see. All right.
So I sort of like tried to sort of like decapitate him, but missed and got my sword wedged into his back. So I just swing the sword around and try to get him from the right hand side now.
Okay. So roll your attack.
Ooh. Sorry, I thought you had to roll against 12 for some reason.
No,
I got a 3.
Okay, so that's a hit. Roll to bypass armor.
1d8.
+1, remember.
D8 plus 1. That's 7 total.
Yep, that's past the armor. And roll damage.
1d8.
+1 again.
Plus 1 again. That's 9.
Okay. Right, so you couldn't decapitate him, but you get your sword disentangled from his backpack and push it in through his side, piercing his internal organs. He gives a grunt and falls to the floor. Right.
So in our combat experience, these don't appear to be undead, do they?
No. No, they're still warm-blooded and they bleed when you hit them. They were probably possessed by some kind of unnatural power.
There was a Robin of Sherwood episode, I think, involving some weird monk who could do that with his minions. Yes? Brothers of the Wolf or something?
Something like that. Yeah, he took control of Nazir, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a sorcerer, the black sorcerer.
Yeah, he did that thing with the knife where he slashed the air and cut people. So, yeah, it was a good episode. Anyway, right, you took them out so quickly they didn't have a chance to raise the alarm, and the hellhounds are just pacing. They seem to sense that something's off, but not what. But at least you won't be outnumbered when you take them on. So what's the plan with these?
Let's get a downed tree limb or two and make a makeshift spear, kind of set for charge. They're probably not very thinking creatures, no?
Yeah, you can use your daggers to sharpen some stakes and ram them into the ground. Then you've just got to get their attention.
I'll be the lure. I've got fresh scent, right?
Yep. Okay. So how are you attracting them? Just shouting and splashing your blood about? Or
What do you think, gentlemen?
Yeah. Hitting hitting shield with sword.
Yeah.
Come here.
Well,
Okay.
Well, call me old-fashioned. I'll pick up my decapitated head on the end of my sword and lob it at them.
Nice, that's perfect. A bit of meat for them, eh?
Yeah. Okay. The moment you sort of start bashing the shield and yelling and stepping forward, before you move back again behind the stakes. They sort of immediately raise their heads, and the flames flare up, and it's almost like the flesh peels back on their heads to reveal skulls, and the teeth elongate, and the flames blast higher, and then they come hurtling towards you at full speed. Right, let's see if they evade the stakes first.
This was a bad idea.
Got to do it somehow.
One dodges a stake, the other one catches a glancing blow from it. They can be harmed. They don't bleed, but it does tear at its flesh. Right, so you have two enormous, great hellhounds wreathed in blue flame, hurtling towards you. One of them just sort of hit and ricocheted off one of your spikes, and now they're bearing down on you. They seem to be singling out Keradan for their attack and trying to get through to attack her.
Great.
Probably drawn by magic. Alain, what do you want to do?
I'll sort of run. How far away is Keradan?
Well, you're all together. Keradan's just back a bit from
Oh,
you,
okay.
so-
Then I guess I'll just step in front of Keradan with my shield out to sort of, take the brunt of it.
Okay.
Getting a blast of breath ready.
Do you want to attack the dog, or do you want to hold your action, or...
Myself?
Alain.
Oh, me, yes. When the dog sort of... I assume when the dog runs up to me, I'll swing my sword at it.
Okay. Right. Its defense is 5. So take that away from your attack, and that's what you have to roll.
Attack. So that would be 9.
Okay. So roll to hit.
7.
You hit. It's got no armor, so roll damage.
3.
3. Okay. Right. You strike it a glancing blow, but it's weird. It's at once heavier, more dense than you were expecting when you struck it, but it moves as if it's lighter. There's something clearly unnatural about it, and it's not leaving footprints in the mud. Right. Becca. So there's 2 wounded hellhounds trying to barge past you and reach Keradan.
Becca starts singing in her native tongue of an Arlen waste, a high, a sort of a droning melody, whirling the claymore above her head. For this is a berserker style.
Okay. You going berserk then?
Yeah, -6 defense, +2 attack.
Yep. And their defense is 5. So.
Oh no, natural 20.
So yeah, that's an automatic fail. I don't think there's botches, and I can't be bothered to look them up. But yeah, you start singing and keening and frothing at the mouth and swing at this thing. But your haste to attack, combined with its unnatural nature, ends up making you miss and ploughing the end of your sword into the mud. Keradan, they're both past your protectors and bearing down on you.
Is there any way in this game, are there any mechanisms for launching 2 spells at once or somehow taking on a...
There
Any feature like
aren't,
that?
but
No? Okay.
if you want to spend 2 spell points, I'll let you do like a cross blast to sort of flame across both of them.
Sure, I will try doing that. I suspect I won't survive a hit from both of them.
Okay, so spend
So
2
down
spell
to
points.
3, and then down to 2. Now I have only one.
Well, John, before you do that, you do have an illusion spell.
I know, but I'm guessing. I thought of that, but I don't think they would be too visually motivated, given their nature as dogs. That's just my guess. As like if I were, and again, I don't mean to be metagaming about this, but if I were a DM and given this character is a practiced sorcerer and so on, it might be well aware of that. And as a DM, I would probably have them ignore the illusion because they are scent focused. Now, I don't know if that's too metagamey or not, but that's what I've already kind of.
That's fine. Your first instinct was to go for fire, and that's what you've been using, throughout throughout the game so far. So why not? Can you roll damage for the fire, please?
Do I need to roll to hit anything, or
I've already rolled for them to try and evade. So you're
so
right
the first one is a 2 plus 8.
So 8 damage.
Yes, and the second one is a 2 plus 8 again. Okay.
They spring towards you with their flaming, slavering jaws, and you belch fire into their faces. You're all sort of momentarily blinded by flares of blue and red light, and once that fades, they're gone. There's no bodies, there's no blood, there's just after images on your retinas.
Oh, it was a double kill. Respect.
What a moment of relief! I thought I was a goner.
I believe the victory is short-lived.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to try any stunts or weird stuff, just ask. I'm a pretty forgiving GM if people are being creative. Okay, the path is clear to Queen Theon's house, the domicile of the Spectre. Do you want to do any preparations before you head in, or
does anyone need any? I don't know, Becca, how are you for wounds and so on? You got
Becca's
your potion.
Still got that potion from earlier.
Yeah.
Might want to take that now.
Yeah. I'll take the potion. Yeah.
You've got 1 spell point left?
Yes, just 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to save that for an illusion, gents, so that I can perhaps provide a distraction, which would then hopefully allow you to launch a couple of really heavy melee attacks against our foe. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Does that sound like an okay plan to go in?
Yeah. Just a meta, right? You've got a shadow bolt scroll.
Yes, I had seen that earlier, but thank you for reminding me. It looks like a very powerful spell.
It is. That is pretty powerful.
Yeah, good for boss fights.
I will have the illusion cast. Maybe I'll cast that so that you guys can wail on them, and then for my follow-up action, while it's distracted with the different images and you two wailing away, hopefully I'll have a chance to use the shadow bolt then.
Okay. Once you get up...
I would ask if you would give me the remaining potion.
Yes, here you go. Take the third one. You may need it in the midst of combat.
Okay.
Thank you. You should see what's inside the house.
Yeah. So as you get closer and pass by these eerily burning candles, it's not a house. It's more like a burial barrow or something like that. The closer you get to it, they must just call it a house.
A dwelling, an abode.
Yeah. Something. It was probably called something else in the old tongue, but now it's called something else again.
Yeah, a dwelling would be it. It could dwell anywhere, right? It dwells here.
It's like a hole in a hill.
Right, so you creep into the entrance. You have to stoop slightly. There's only really room for one of you. You can't really march 2 abreast, so I'm guessing Sir Alain's going to go in the front. Okay. Hopefully it'll open up a bit inside. Anyway, you go.
Pardon me, this may be important. Becca, are we going to switch sides so I'm at the back and you're in the middle, or do you want to
make
our order?
Yeah, it's got the back, yeah.
Okay, I'll be in the back.
Right, so you creep along this corridor inside with its smooth white chalk walls. The roof of it is all covered in roots where the trees have grown down from above, but then they've twisted themselves into unnatural spirals and other shapes that recall the runes on the stones outside. The floor is covered in flat shards of pale rock and has circles and spirals carved into it. Stairway winds down to a large, dimly lit cave so you can spread out again. It has a high domed ceiling, again covered in the roots, which are all knotted together and grown in unnaturally even patterns. The floor again is of this pale rock, but it's almost like it's one enormous slab with one great spiral graven into it. On the far eastern wall of this central hall-like chamber, which is all glowing with this pale blue light, the The roots divide to reveal a huge stone hearth. A handful of dim glowing coals creak and shift in the grate, but they're burning with that same unnatural blue light, right on the verge of going out. The shadows in here are unnatural, appearing one moment and then appearing somewhere else another, like the light is shifting, but you're not sensing it with your eyes, just seeing it in your shadows. Before the fireplace is a block of stone almost 2 meters tall. Its sides are engraved with twisted marks, and its top has been carved into the shape of a cradle. A wide crack in the wall forms an arch leading north. There doesn't appear to be anything here apart from this stone cradle. Every now and again you think you can hear a woman's voice chanting or singing, but you can't tell which direction it's coming from. But there's only 2 ways out, the arch and the crack.
I'm a little confused when you say the arch and there's a crack in the wall, and then
There's a crack in the wall and there's also an arch in the wall. Each one seems to lead to a separate chamber.
are they okay? Okay, Sir Alain, what do you figure?
We should probably check what's through the arch.
Okay,
Excuse me.
go down, sneak forward.
Okay. The arch is graven with those same spirals and ancient runes, and the stones are worn smooth. A thin corridor forces you to march single file again, and then opens out again into a circular cave. Its walls are coated in thick moss, which is glowing slightly unnaturally. Nestled amidst the nooks and crannies of the walls are hundreds of sealed pottery jars. Very crude, simple beeswax used to seal them shut. And no 2 appear the same. They're all quite crude and look like they've been fired in a like a bonfire in ashes and so on. So they're covered in marks and discolorations. In the very center of the cavern is a pool of water, and the water stirs as if someone's stirring it with a stick or a finger. It keeps rippling with eddies.
May I examine one of the pots?
Yes. Do you want to make an intelligence roll, please? So D20 under your intelligence.
6.
You've read some passing passages on these. Some practitioners of the old magic could contain someone's soul in them.
Okay. They feed on it, I'm presuming. All of these children, their remains may be in these jars.
What remains of their souls, yeah.
Yes. Keepsakes or somehow, the remains of feeding, or somehow it's spiritually fueling whatever might be going on here.
If she's a demonic entity, then the souls that she has taken grant her power in the other world. If she's undead, then the power of all these lost souls helps her retain her sort of half-life.
I'm guessing it's the latter. Are we in more like can we sense, or can I sense anyhow, if we're closer to a threshold between worlds where we're really kind of getting into a danger zone, like anything like that?
Roll under your psychic talent.
Oh, this is good. I've got a high one there. I've got a 16, but I roll a 9.
Okay. Yes, the veil is extremely thin here, and that pool is really disconcerting you.
Gentlemen, that pool may lead actually to the other world. I don't know if it's an infernal realm or a realm of the dead, but that is a weak point, and we're all in danger here of crossing over. Stay close.
You don't say.
Figured I'd share what I knew just in case it wasn't already obvious.
Well, note to self: don't go in the pool.
Yes, no bathing, even though it's once a year you're due for your bath. Not there. Oh, heavens. Mind you, I may take a skinful of it, maybe for later on. But we'll do that at the end.
I wouldn't touch it. Do you
Bloody
think
sorcerers, eh? Always messing with the occult.
Well, who knows? I mean, mixing that with a bit of birthing fluid and so on could create quite a line of maybe youth potions or who knows what.
Okay, Frankenstein, yeah.
Do you think this is what the witch is using to cross through into our world?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it involves harvesting souls from these children. It's probably a particular bloodline even too that she's feeding from.
Yeah, the legend was that
maybe the family's ancestress or something like that, eh?
Then here is where we should lay our ambush. These pots.
Yes, we could destroy some of the pots and draw her attention here. If I go nuts and you guys lay in wait, maybe, all right? Smishy smash.
Why would you destroy the pots?
It's her property. It's obviously valuable. They're relics or reliquaries here. Who wouldn't be annoyed at their work and keepsakes being vandalized at this, right? I certainly would be if someone came into my lair and started smashing my stuff to bits.
And do you not think that what's the word? Vandalizing these respices of the dead would bring misfortune onto ourselves?
Probably not as much misfortune as having our souls consumed by the evil hag that lives here.
Then you are free to touch them if you wish.
Perhaps I should maybe lay in wait with Shadow Bolt ready, somehow create a distraction. Perhaps you guys don't want to touch them. Okay, I'm not going to go ahead with the plan unless you're both in on it as a distraction. Maybe we should scout out a bit first, or maybe come back, or...
You're absolutely certain.
No,
out of character. Like, you're absolutely certain that like the respices are what the witch is using for her strength.
No, I'm not absolutely certain. I'm just trying to put two and two together from what little I know about real world esoterica and the occult and fantasy game tropes and everything that.
It more seems like your area of character's area of expertise.
Yes. Jim, do these things have an obvious emotional or sentimental value? I mean, they're lovingly placed, they're sealed up, and I mean, they're not... They look like they matter, I'm presuming, yes? I mean,
they do look like they matter. I mean, the pots are crude, but they're sealed carefully with the beeswax. It's more that they're old and crude, not made with a lack of care.
Now, have they been dusted and maintained in any way? Is anything like that visible?
They don't have a lot of dust or soot on them, so it looks like they've been moved around and reordered, and quite a bit.
Now, could they be component jars instead of soul carriages, for example? Or
you'd have to break one open to find out.
Gents, would you like me to maybe try unsealing one to peek inside, or?
Should go ahead. I'll ready my weapon and
don't use your why don't you use your obsidian knife to open it with?
Okay. I will put on a pair of my thicker gloves just in case, and lay one of these urns down onto the ground, and like you would a stubborn wine top, try and knock the top off with my magical weapon. Is it Valander? Is it called?
Yeah, Valander's sword. Yeah,
Valander's sword.
Okay, you swing with the blade down at the pot, aiming to sort of take the cap off, but it rebounds off it with a deafening sound like a tolling bell. There is a blinding flash of light, and a white lady appears in the center of the room, hovering over the pool of water, shrieking and screaming at you.
Sorry, guys.
What's your defense, Keraden?
It is 5 for physical, 7 for magical.
Okay. Right, yes. So she appears shrieking. She appears as a naked woman, sort of wreathed in mist, with her hair flowing in the air, blank eyes burning with that same blue light, and she stabs a wraithly dagger down into your shoulder. What's your armor?
It is armor factor 1.
Right, it pierces your armor
Uh-oh.
and does 6 wounds of damage.
Oh, I have 1 wound left.
Oof.
Right, that was her ambush turn. So. Alain, what are you doing?
Me. I'm swinging my sword into this woman.
Okay.
I was gonna say something else there.
Does it rhyme with punt?
No. Into this.
Take this,
into
you
this
dead
witch.
bitch.
Yeah.
All right, killer.
Okay,
That's scary.
so you blink away the blindness in your eyes from the flash of light and swing as best you can. Take 4 away from your attack and roll to hit.
10, but I rolled 14, so I miss.
Okay. Yeah, so still partially blinded, you kind of flail out with the sword but fail to land a blow. Excuse me. Okay. Becca.
You're going to draw a straight thrust because I'm blinded. I don't want to swing
Yeah.
my
Might
cleaver
take someone
around.
else's head off.
Yeah. Right, let's see what I'm going to get.
So take 4 away from your attack.
Yeah. 12. That might be enough. I've got an attack of 16. Yes, look at that. 12.
So you land a blow. Can you roll your armor penetration, please?
6.
Yep. And damage?
3.
Okay.
Disappointing.
She seems surprised when your magical blade cuts into her spirit
Yeah,
form.
have some of that. Yeah, have some Becca love. Yeah.
Whirls her head towards you, shrieking. Right, Kerridan.
I will furiously start backing away from the combat scene so I can't be struck again.
Yeah.
And if I can somehow manage that with, shrugging my backpack off, trying to get access to one of my scrolls, I'll do that too.
Okay. Yeah, you can back away and open the backpack, but that's what you can do. Okay,
Can't attack on the
that
same
wound
turn.
in your shoulder, it's icy cold, and the flesh around where the blade struck you has turned black.
Okay.
Okay. Now, her go.
Some Morgul blade nonsense. The weaken spell, does that weaken structures or individual combatants?
No, it's an individual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, I have to look something up.
Okay.
Yeah, so they suffer -2 attack and they deliver -2 damage.
Yes, I think that's right.
But I think it's that's a magical attack versus magical defense. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she's kind of floats back towards the rear of the room where all the shelves are, raises her right hand and shrieks, and a gale force blast of wind slams into all of you. Oh. Right.
Game over.
Right. You all take 1 point of damage regardless of armor.
Oh, that's
Excellent. Okay.
Carradine.
You will revive me later on if you can.
Are you down to nothing then?
Yeah.
0 it is.
Okay, you're knocked out.
Okay.
You're stooping to get into your pack, and then you're lifted up by the wind and flung into the wall and smack your head on a flint and fall unconscious.
Let me know if you want me to make any rolls to help you with anything, Jim. And
Yeah. Okay. Alain is sort of blown back down the corridor, tumbling. Only Becca manages to remain sort of standing against this terrible blast of wind without budging, just sort of slowly sliding backwards on booted feet a couple of feet. Right, Alain.
Scramble to my feet and run back
Okay.
towards the witch.
You get back up on your feet and try to force your way back against the wind, but you can't seem to get enough of a grip to move forward. It's like your foot hits the stone and then you slide back as much as you've moved. You do, however, hear an angry bellowing coming from the crack.
oh, it's Pet's woken
And
up.
hear an armoured, what you think is an armoured man. You're used to the sound of men in plate mail, sort of moving in. Well, it will be behind you, but you've got time to react next turn. Becca.
The Queen Theon, she's out of melee, isn't she?
You managed to. She moved back a bit. You're still in melee range. You've managed to stand against the wind. So.
Oh yeah. Right, so I'll go full on, keening and singing and dancing, a full berserk attack.
Yep.
-6 defense, +3 attack.
It's +1 to attack for every 3 you take off your defense.
Yeah. Also, yeah, +2. Yeah.
Okay. And take 7 away from your attack.
So it's 1, 2, 3.
What's the significance of the short sword being obsidian?
It's just a description.
Oh, it's a miss.
You missed.
Yeah.
Okay. You struggle to swing against the force of the wind and don't manage to land a blow. Caradan remains unconscious. Right, she keeps the wind blowing, focusing it more on Becca. Okay, you take another 3 hit points of damage.
Oh, dear.
But you're still standing against the wind.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Elaine, do you want to get that healing potion in Kerridan's mouth?
That might be a good idea. Right, Elaine, you'll go.
Okay. So assuming you yell that out to me, I'm going to run over to Carradine if I can fight against the wind. Is the wind still blowing?
Yep. You manage just barely to fight against the force of the wind and pull yourself back into the chamber.
Are you allowed? Can you force feed people?
I'll allow it because I'm lovely like that. So Carradine can wake up and have 7 hit points back from the potion.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I can just imagine it'd be like giving a shot of epinephrine after a cardiac.
Potion pen. Right, so Becca.
Yeah, I'm in full froth mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do another berserker.
Okay, same as before.
Yeah, minus 6 defense plus 2 attack. So it gives me
Yeah, and then take
15,
7 away for
17,
her defense.
18. It's only 11 to hit. 1!
Yay, crit.
Hey.
Okay, make an armor bypass roll. Oh, no, you don't have to because you got a crit. So roll damage twice and tell me the total.
Oh, yes. 16 hits.
Okay.
Holy jeez!
Screaming in your frenzy with the froth kind of blowing out of your mouth and back down the room. You lunge forward against the force of the wind and give an almighty swing. It knocks you off balance, so you tumble to the floor, but it does hack into her. Her spirit form just kind of explodes with another blast of blue light, and the wind instantly stops. And the ring that was on her finger drops to the floor with a clang as well. Everything is just silent for a moment, and then one after another, each of the clay pots starts to shatter.
Wonderful cinematic.
Fragments of pottery scattering everywhere.
Our fight not be- our,
Souls, ripping around, or little ghost elements flittering. Or sorry.
our fight might not be over yet. I heard noises behind us.
Well, whirling around, you see a man in the livery of Sir Olvar, which probably means it is Sir Olvar, looking very confused.
Oh, he was already ensorcelled.
What? Where? The witch?
Becca helped. Coming back from dead, I'm just collapse in a cackle of laughter and then stress release and joy to be alive.
Yeah, Olvar just sort of leans against one of the walls of the tomb and sort of slides down it. Everything seems unnaturally quiet, but then you realise that it's just that the sound of the rain has gone as well. There's nothing but your own breathing, your own hearts beating in your chest. Nothing. Everything's quiet and the weight has lifted.
I'm just looking at the all that is left of Queen Theon, which is this suspect-looking ring on the floor.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
Just a sec, I'm noting something down. The ring is of blackened silver with a single chip of sapphire set in it in the middle of a spiral.
Kerrigan, what do you think of this?
I'd have to examine it, but I'm too happy enjoying the sound of not rain. I'll have a look at that in the daylight, not here in its lair. I'd recommend we not touch much more in here. Last time I tried to crack one of these things open, you saw what happened.
Right, so I'll pick the ring up on the end of my dagger and slip it into my purse.
Okay.
So I don't want to touch it.
Should be safe there until you get a chance to look at it.
I'm gonna walk over to Olgar.
Olvar.
I've called him everything but his actual name.
I'm
gonna walk over to Olvar.
Picks himself up again. The witch is dead.
And are you able to walk?
Yes, I feel healthy, just confused. I came out here looking for the witch to put an end to her so my child would be safe. It seems you did my job for me.
Do not worry about that. We have put an end to this witch. Your village is under siege.
Who?
Man whose name I've forgotten.
Lacroix.
Lacroix.
Him? Very well. I suppose today's fight isn't over. You've done so much for me already, but will you help me root this fiend out of my house?
We shall. And I believe if we play our cards right, we may not even have to fight.
Probably not. I've seen him melt before the slightest threat. Okay, he shakes you all firmly by the hand. Again, expresses how much he is in your debt, and then you all make your way back to the village.
Let's wait just a moment. Even though the witch is dead, has a sense of otherworld thinness or the veils between worlds being reduced? Is it changed?
Still there, but it's much weaker.
Much weaker. Okay. And did anything like, is there anything in the pots that is of a like nature, like
there's nothing?
Baby skulls, all male remains, like in any.
There's, from what you can see, all the pots simply appear to be empty from when they've shattered. It's as if there was nothing in there.
And the spot that Olvar came from, was that a separate chamber, or is that?
Yes, peering in that. So it's a crack that runs through the chalk and the flint, and then there's another chamber that looks like it used to be sort of walled up and walled in here, and then an ancient stone sarcophagus which is cracked along the same line as the split.
That's what I was thinking about, perhaps having a look-see at. There may be antiquities of collectible value here, perhaps.
There's ancient collapsed bones and a silver torque or circlet.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, which is what the witch appeared to be wearing.
Should we bag that up, gents?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's bag that up.
You being careful with it like you were with the ring, or are you just grabbing it?
Yeah. I've still got my gloves on. We'll bag it up and kind of touch our swords to push it into a sack, right?
Ready for ring.
Look at full daylight.
Weirdly, there's a few other sort of sets of smaller bones intermingled with the larger human bones.
So maybe a mother and children, or a small family?
Too small for that. Too small for children.
Like, too small for children? So you mean like a fetus?
Young
like fetal,
or a fetus, or animal bones? It's hard to tell.
Okay. All right. As I said, if there were any obviously notable ancient statuary or easily portable objet d'art or something like that.
It seems that there isn't that much of that kind of thing here. You've probably looted everything that was here.
Okay.
Okay, so returning to town, are you just going to straight up challenge Lacroix, call him out alongside Olvar?
Well, that would be Olvar's job. I mean, hopefully Lacroix can be one-upped in front of his men.
Yeah, so you're just going to sort of stand there looking intimidating, yeah.
Is it so? And if half of Lacroix's men came up here, and some of them are dead and the others are gone, so he's only got 5 men left, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, and there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
Right.
And Olvar. Wait, no.
And, well,
4 of us, including
4 of us.
Olvar.
One of us is a Becca. So.
Yeah,
the entirety of the village.
We're going to rinse them, aren't we? Yeah. We're going to rinse.
The gatekeeper.
Can we just ask the villagers get I don't know, kitchen knives, hatchets, clubs. Just stand in the back and look threatening. You probably won't have to fight.
Mob up, exactly. Mob up and man up.
When you arrive back, Porthor, the gatekeeper with the raven, has told everyone that you're returning, and the village has turned out to welcome you all back. Especially Sir Olvar. There's lots of cheering and lots of bowing and scraping. And by the time you approach the manor house, you've got pretty much the entire village behind you, with staves and cleavers, knives and clubs. Olvar calls out to Lacroix, basically, "You, villain, out of my house." One of the shutters opens. Man you presume to be Lacroix looks out, takes a measure of the situation and how many men he has left, and closes the shutters. Olvar muscles up to the front door with the help of the innkeeper and a few of the others and starts to bash it down. When Sprout appears from around the side of the manor and says, "Is Scarpered out the back?"
Did they have a chance to have any of that brew?
I think so. Some of them are running without trousers.
John, my friend, if you have now could be a good time to use portal spell.
Oh, to force the door, yes. But he said they're already noshing out the back, yes?
Yeah. Olvar just says, let him go. And in good time, he's reunited with his lady wife and his child. So, you end up being paid the 150 florins you were owed. I'll update the character sheets, don't worry about that. And Sir Olvar writes you letters of introduction to Baron Aldred, expressing everything that you've done for him and the village. And that's an end to it. You can rest up, heal up in the village, and then go on about your adventures another day.
Excellent.
Rah.
I hope you had fun.
That's great, Jim. Yeah, brilliant.
I'll probably run another session in a couple of days. I'll be keeping the same characters over from session to session, even if you can't make it, if someone else can. But if you know anyone else who might want to play, I think we could handle a group up to 5 or 6 players, probably, if need be.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for being tolerant with the looking stuff up, but I haven't run this in a while.
I've just got to check how much are potions.
Lots.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I'll have to check myself.
We got paid 150 florins, but we may have
spent more. Yes.
Yeah.
But you've done a good thing for the world and for people. So be happy.
Don't
You
pay
got
off
letters of
your
introduction to the Baron, which is
I'm playing like the virtuous, like I'm not in it for the money sort of character, but like that's completely against like my nature.
Right, I am gonna have to go because I gotta take my medication and get to bed. But
All right. See you
take
next
care,
time.
everyone.
That's great, Jim. Yes.
Thanks for playing, and
Thank you.
have a good rest of your evening.